Hannity mentioned you to Stephen Miller yesterday.
The guy that was out campaigning with Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11.
Look, the Democrat Party, Sean, as you've covered better than anybody, has been.
Yo, Shawnee baby. You're talking about me, but you won't talk to me. What the hell, Sean? We were supposed. I feel betrayed. You'll talk to this bald dipshit, but not me? What the hell? Yeah, he ducked me. And now he's snitching to the admins, dude. He's like, mods. Remember this guy? Get this guy out of here, mods. That's actually devastating. I thought we had something, Sean.
Become a party of Marxist, communist, socialist, violent extremists, and yes, violent revolutionaries who support the policies that are getting Americans killed in mass historically for many years now, and of course it accelerated under the Biden administration.
Where? What policies are killing Americans en masse? Yeah, dude. Medicare for all. Okay. Free college education. Federal jobs guarantee. These are the policies that will kill Americans if implemented. They haven't yet, but if implemented, they will kill Americans en masse. Okay.
By criminal illegal aliens. This is a party that supports violence against ICE officers, supports violence against federal law enforcement, and engages in conduct and rhetoric and behavior that leads to repeated assassination attempts against President Trump, against President Trump's supporters, and against Republican elected office holders. It is a terrifying reality, but one we cannot turn away from, ignore. We cannot put our heads in the sand and pretend the Democrat Party of the 90s or the 80s or the 70s exists anymore, because it is gone, Sean. It is gone, and it is not coming back.
It is gone. It is dead. How do you define it now? How do you define Tellerico, El Sayed, Platner, Mamdani, Bernie, Pocahontas, the Squad, and then the other Democrats? No moral courage to ever challenge them. Hillary Clinton, would you vote for Platner? Well, I don't live in Maine. That's hardly, an appropriate, right?
Yes. Look, the Democratic Party has two groups now: radical extremists and cowards.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I like that. He's saying that, like, the Democrats are just a communist party now, which I wish. And then the rest of the establishment Democrats are just like cowering, and they're terrified. To make matters worse, these very same Democrats, these established Democrats, hear from the most repulsive man on the planet, Stephen Miller, and go, all right, bet. He's actually right. We shouldn't let the radical communist Antifa forces take over the party. We should do everything we can to stop that instead of stopping the growing fascism in this country.
Cowards who've allowed the radical extremists to eat the party alive. Maybe they know at some level that it's wrong, that it's evil, that it's dangerous, that is leading to all this incredible violence against conservatives that we've seen. Maybe they're just too stupid. They don't know that. But you have cowards and you have extremists. When you talk about abolishing ICE, what you are talking about is allowing every drug cartel, every Mexican criminal organization like this.
Okay, I don't really care about the rest of this. Who cares? Stephen Miller should unironically boost the confidence of every person ever that the trope "there's someone for everyone" really is true, because how do you love this man? I mean, I guess he has a equally repulsive wife, Katie Miller. That's how it works out. Have you seen Mehdi interview the former CIA agent who wants to abolish the CIA? No, I haven't. I have not watched it. But it's crazy that this man is going on every outlet but mine, bro. It's wild. I don't know what the hell's going on with John Kiriakou, but he's gone on basically every show but mine. Yeah, defend the homeland. One nation, one homeland, one team. You guys are arguing before SCOTUS right now that your own top goal scorer shouldn't be eligible for U.S. citizenship. You racist jabronis. Nah, but he's white, bro. It's fine, right? They're talking about. Actually, I don't know who the top goalie, top scorer is. Is it CP? Is it Christian Pasilic or whatever? No. Oh, it's Balogun. He's a black Brit. I don't fucking know, man. I don't watch soccer. I'm not even watching the Turkish team get fucking destroyed. I will be watching soccer the one day when I go and watch the Turkish team get fucking destroyed. But Pulisic, amına koyayım. Ne söyledin az önce? Pulisic. Is that how you say it? Pulisic doesn't sound American? Yeah, that's why I thought maybe he's like Hungarian or some shit. Anyway, all right, let's get to the fucking news. Strait of Hormuz is closed again. Okay. Iran's military says it closed the Strait of Hormuz after U.S.-Israeli violations of ceasefire. Let's take a look.
James Bays, and I'll preface this with saying that we've got some very new and important developments. James, it's going to be one of the very few times that I know something you don't yet know. Look, we're hearing from the Iranians, and I think to some extent we saw this coming. The Iranians say, and this is being reported by the Iranian news agency Mehr, that they're going to take action over what's happening in southern Lebanon. They see it, as you know, as the United States' responsibility to end Israeli military raids. And they say that because that hasn't happened, in response to that, Iran is going to close once again the Strait of Hormuz. So that's where we are. Let me look at the language. In view of America's blatant breach of promise and breach of contract regarding the failure to implement the very first paragraph of the Memorandum of Understanding. That's something you and I have talked about extensively.
Yeah, kind of the whole ordeal, right? Kind of the centerpiece of this entire ordeal, right? It's a tough sell when the number one line item on the Memorandum of Understanding straight up is, hey, you got to restrain Israel to ensure that Israel doesn't attack Lebanon. And then lo and behold, Israel is huffing and puffing, and they find it within themselves to do just that. Of course. Of course it's going to be destroyed. Of course the Memorandum of Understanding was going to be destroyed. I actually am a little shocked that it was this fast. I thought Israel would have waited a couple days. No. Turns out they did it almost instantaneously. And if you recall, I kept repeatedly explaining over and over again that it would be Israel that was the spoiler. And John Hudson's reporting also showed that the CIA was aware that Israel would be the spoiler. Basically, everyone that was paying attention to what's going on in the region knew that Israel was going to do everything in its power to ruin this ceasefire, because they don't want the ceasefire to take place. They want to force America's hand back into battle. They want to goad America into going up the escalation ladder and militarily invade Iran. Trump doesn't want to do that, but also at the same time, Trump is wholly incapable of restraining Israel. So Israel is seeing how much it can violate these red lines. Israel is seeing what it can get away with. And the it here that Israel is getting away with, and this might come as a surprise to absolutely no one, is murdering Lebanese children, specifically 12 children Israel killed, alongside 55 total people that Israel killed on Friday in Lebanon. That's what this is. And there's no real like military purpose for this. They'll say it's like Hezbollah, but the reality of the matter is they're doing it just to violate the ceasefire. Nothing but collateral damage for them, because these are not real human beings in the eyes of the Israeli state. And of course, Iran has to retaliate. Iran has to hold America to account. How would the Islamic Republic of Iran get any deal out of the United States of America if the first provision of the Memorandum of Understanding is violated so flagrantly? And it requires America to restrain Israel, and Israel is actively violating that red line to show the United States of America and Iran and the rest of the world that they're not going to play ball, that they're never going to be restrained. Right now is where those quote unquote red lines matter the most. Will Trump actually follow through? Will Trump actually force Israel's hand? Will Trump restrain Israel, or will Trump allow Israel to do whatever it wants to do and then get back in the war? Because if Israel is violating the red lines, then Iran has to set up sufficient military deterrence, set up economic punishments. Part of that would be obviously to impede and restrict the ships that are transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. Beyond that, if Israel continues to escalate, continues to agitate, Iran might actually go back to blowing up Israel and Israeli positions. So far, Hezbollah has been sufficient in restraining the Israeli forces in Lebanon that are continuously trying to push into Lebanon, further and further into Lebanese territory. As you guys know, in the aftermath of that tit for tat, the Hezbollah forces in Lebanon actually incinerated 4 Israeli occupying forces soldiers. That was a devastating security incident, as it was reported by Israeli news. But beyond that, Iran is going to have to set up military deterrence. We shall see if they are willing to do so. We shall see if they are invested in doing so. I predict that if they do not, Israel will continue pushing. That is, of course, if, or rather, when Donald Trump refuses to restrain Israel.
Back to this language from Mer News. And in response to the ceaseless and continuous violation of the ceasefire by the Zionist regime in southern Lebanon and the merciless killing of hundreds of thousands of the oppressed people in this land, it is announced that the Strait of Hormuz will be closed to vessel traffic. So, James, I think we can't overstate how significant this is.
We can't. This is the ultimate leverage they have, and they proved it during the war. We'd all been talking about a potential nuclear weapon, but Iran showed it had a much more powerful economic weapon. We actually had reports over the last 24 hours that they might be doing this, and the Iranian government and spokesperson said it wasn't the case they were going to, but clearly they feel right now there is a memorandum of understanding. It has been agreed, but it's not being complied with. And you've got other dignitaries on the top of that hill.
This is unrelated, but it's kind of funny that they're in Bergenstock, Switzerland. I assume near where the deal was supposed to take place yesterday. It didn't happen. The Iranian team did not arrive in Geneva, and neither did J.D. Vance. They all canceled their travel plans. But it almost feels like a flex to have that behind you. And it's like, well, here is a waterway where ships are transiting, as opposed to the Strait of Hormuz, where they are not.
Feel this is a time of maximum leverage.
This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what the world could have if Israel would restrain itself.
And
it's a lake. Sure, whatever. It's watered.
They are going to close the Strait of Hormuz. It means they're using that weapon now. And remember what Donald Trump said at the G7 meeting just days ago before he signed the Memorandum of Understanding. In a moment, I think, of some honesty, he said, we were on the verge of economic collapse. We only had 4 weeks of global oil reserves. Who wants bedlam? Those are the words of Donald Trump about where the economic situation of the world is. Iran knows at this moment that it can push back and try and stop that fighting that's taking place in southern Lebanon, that bombardment by Israel. Can, though, the US stop the Israelis? They've told the Israelis to stop. They've implemented another ceasefire, and it's not stopping. The Israeli military, I'm not going to use the word professional. They're professional at killing. We saw that in Gaza. But they are efficient. They have a chain of command. If Prime Minister Netanyahu said, stop the bombardment. I have no doubt it would stop.
Well, Noor O'Day, our correspondent in Ramallah, reported that the Prime Minister said he doesn't consider himself or his country bound by the terms of this Memorandum of Understanding. Adding to what I was saying, the source on this closure of the Strait of Hormuz, it is Iran's top joint military command. So it's reported by the Iranian news agency MER, but this is a decision made by the country's top military command. Something else that is just crossing as we speak. The U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, has told Fox that he believes talks between the U.S. and Iran could start as early as Sunday. So he thinks they could happen, and they could be happening. We are Saturday today, so they could be happening tomorrow. It seems the U.S. and Iran moving in at this hour in very different directions.
And also some reports coming from some media that maybe there are some Iranians there with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. That's a line that came from Fox News a short time ago. The Iranians saying they're not here. It's possible that there is some talks about talks taking place. But it's clear there is one issue alone. It's that bombardment in Lebanon that's already caused those loss of lives since the so-called ceasefire 24 hours ago. The Iranians making it very clear, you have got to stop this, got to stop the Israelis. Stop the Israelis in the one war, which is connected to getting the talks going in the other war, which of course is connected to the Straits of Hormuz and the whole of the world's economy.
Al Jazeera's diplomatic editor.
Whoa, the mountains are American blue? Yeah, so is the water. The water is American flag blue, and so are the mountains, and so is my suit. It's all blue, including their suits. Everything is blue. I've decided blue is the only color that I can see. That is, of course, if Donald Trump follows through on this memorandum of understanding and actually restrains Israel, which doesn't seem very likely. If it doesn't, then it's all fucking green. You stupid bitch. Why did you do this? You ruin everything you touch, you fucking monster. Okay. Now we sit and wait. If Donald Trump somehow restricts Israel or restrains Israel, which I think is very, very unlikely, then everything is blue. It's American flag blue. I've never seen the most perfect blue before. That algae blue, love it.
To James Space, thank you very much for your snap explanation and analysis as these news lines are just coming into us here. We're reporting from central Switzerland, as James explained, because on the other side of that lake is where Iranians and Americans were expected to sit down for face-to-face talks to try and reach a...
Damn it, dude. I support you 10,000%, but not sure where you're posting a picture of anti-Semitic Hassan Piker in order to make a point. I've made fun of him so much about how he looks like Dean Preston that it's worthy. It's I deserve this. Okay, we all have our choppelganger. Mine is Hen Mazik. It's true. At least Brace's choppelganger is like, sick. Like Dean Preston is awesome. He's a dope dude. Mazik is your Wario. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that the evil forces in Israel invented in a laboratory a fucking Wario of mine. Hen Mazik liked that fake tweet about you buying a $27 million penthouse in New York City, by the way. Total moron. Oh my God. Wait, is that not you? Does it look like me, man? Are you kidding me? Come on, guys. Please don't say yes. Are you going to cover the news today? That's crazy. That's crazy. Did this guy just tune in? Subscribe. Okay? Subscribe so you can rewind. Because I was literally covering the MOU breaking apart, falling apart. The memorandum of understanding falling apart right before our eyes, before I took a brief sidestep and took a look at my choppelganger.
Final peace deal between them. But we are, as we speak, it feels like we are quite a distance away from that deal ever being hammered out. So going to Iran now, our correspondent Mohammed Val is there. Mohammed, just in the last few moments, we're hearing from the Iranian top military command that they've closed the Strait of Hormuz once again.
Well, that's right. I don't know if the translation is precise. If it is precise, they used the future tense, will be closed. So we don't know whether that's a decision that is going to take effect from this moment, or it's a threat, for instance, that if something doesn't happen in the next couple of hours or tonight, for instance, or from now to tomorrow, we don't know what that future tense means, how long it will take for them to announce that now we have closed it. So there is this pressure, it's a measure of pressure, of course, on the Americans to force the Israelis to implement the first article of the Memorandum of Understanding. There has been a lot of anger being expressed yesterday and today about it, and the Iranians are very clear. Now it is very clear that they are linking Lebanon to the moving ahead with the negotiations. Of course, some of the news agencies here, or at least one of them, has said that maybe a delegation is going, headed by the top negotiator, Mohammed Bakr Qalibaf, and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, but that has not been confirmed. Now we have this other line that you have just mentioned, making the situation much more complicated, and we don't know which of the two roads is going to be taken, whether for more complications or whether the Iranians will finally agree to go to the talks. We know that the Pakistani Interior Minister is here on a visit to Iran, and the understanding is that he is trying to facilitate the situation. He's trying to convince the Iranians probably to go to the talks. Pakistan has been behind the push for peace, the push for this deal, and they don't like it to break down.
It's great that we have the most incompetent and the most pro-Israel administration of all time manning the ship right now. After a brief moment of respite, a brief pause in the hostilities, and a brief opportunity to move American foreign policy in a more productive direction, we're back to business as usual, dominated by Israel. It's fucking dope. So while all of this is happening, Donald Trump obviously came out and he's obviously aware of what's going on. He knows that the Iranians are saying we're shutting down the Strait of Hormuz again. And what did Donald Trump say? What did Donald Trump say about all this? He is Mr. Market Mode, Mr. Money Man. Mr. Money molestation is over. Trump says there will be no tolls in the Strait of Hormuz for 60 days during the ceasefire period. And also no tolls will be imposed afterwards unless by the U.S. for services rendered as a Middle East guardian angel. There will be no tolls in the Hormuz Strait for the 60 days during the ceasefire period, and there will be no tolls after the 60-day period is expired unless they are imposed by and for the United States of America should the deal not be completed for services rendered as a guardian angel to the countries in the Middle East for purposes of both past, present, and future reimbursement of costs. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. I mean, what do you say to this? Like, he's saying this while Iran is like, we're shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. While Iran is like, we're shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, Donald Trump is like, yeah, no, it's not shut off at all. Trump officials reportedly opened back channel contacts with Israeli opposition figures. We talked about this yesterday. This is from yesterday. U.S. said to be engaging Israeli opposition amid concerns over Netanyahu coalition. This is literally, he's following the Brandonian response. This is so Brandon. Remember when Brandon brought Naftali Bennett to D.C. to have a talking with? He had a conversation. He was starting talks with Naftali Bennett. Yeah, none of this stuff matters. Okay, what matters is, are you capable of restraining Israel or not? If you are wholly incapable of restraining Israel, it doesn't matter if you talk to the opposition figure. It's the same entity, and it's going to react in the same exact ways. I guess technically Trump is right, though, when he says that there's no, there will be no tolls. He ain't wrong, because there will be no ships passing through as it stands currently. So, yeah. By the way, your analysis on this whole saga has been the most accurate. PBS on top. Thank you. It's incredible how good your analysis can be if you don't have Benjamin Netanyahu's dick launched planted directly in your spine. It's crazy. Yes, Piker Broadcasting Service for tomorrow's news today. It's crazy when you can just like look at exactly what's going on and make the correct assessment. This isn't even dialectical materialism, chat. It's just looking at what Israel has done so far and says it will continue to do and reporting on it accurately. The only reason why it comes across as like prophetic is because mainstream outlets are pathetic. They don't do this basic thing. It's basic observation. It's not in any way, shape, or form unique. It's not crazy. All you have to do is look at what Israel's doing and be like, they're probably going to do the same thing that they've been doing and that they say that they're going to continue doing tomorrow.
So that's the situation now, and it's just probably a matter of hours to know if the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is confirmed or whether something else in the other direction will take place.
Mohammed, I've been asking you today and yesterday, is there any sign from the Iranians that they are going to show up here in Switzerland and begin these talks with the Americans? Let me flip that question. Is there any reason to believe that Iran will show up?
Well, it's conditional. Now it's clearly conditioned on the condition that the terms of the agreement will be met. They have made it very clear since yesterday that there are 5 points that have to be dealt with from the outset. One of them, and the first and the most important, clearly, is the comprehensive ceasefire on all fronts, including South Lebanon. That point, which is the initial one, hasn't been implemented. And also they talked about the lifting of the American blockade. That's something that they're not showing some anger about, because the two sides, the Iranians and the Americans, are doing something in that regard. But also they mentioned sanctions, and they mentioned the unfreezing of assets, Iranian assets. Those 2 points are clearly raised here by Iran, and they want something to be done about them, a kind of announcement that the United States is starting to move on that situation, because they are included in the Memorandum of Understanding, and Iran thinks that it can't move ahead with the negotiations if the Americans haven't yet even initiated any implementation of any of those points, except on the Strait of Hormuz.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I'm Mark Lowen. We start with some breaking news in the last hour.
This is the good Mark Levin. Is Israel just seeing how far they can push the line? Will U.S. and Trump actually cut them off? Yes and no. Israel is obviously going to see how far they can violate the red lines. They've always done so, and I don't believe that America will cut them off, if we're being honest. It seems very unlikely.
Iran's military says it has again closed the Strait of Hormuz. State TV has broadcast a statement by Iran's Central Military Command saying the closure was in response to Israel's attacks on southern Lebanon, describing them as a breach of Tehran's agreement with the US. Let's bring in our Middle East correspondent, John Donnison, who joins us from Jerusalem. John, not just a breakdown in the peace deal between Iran and Israel, or the ceasefire, but now potentially also in the peace deal between the US and Iran.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really significant development. We said that this deal between Iran and the United States was fragile, and here we are, the principal achievement of that memorandum of understanding. And I think one of the biggest priorities for the United States was reopening the strait, and what that's lasted a couple of days, and it's now closed. So we understand from Iranian state TV that there is now a negotiating team on the way to Switzerland, presumably to meet with the Americans. But, you know, we seem to be making some progress, but we've already taken a huge step back. And the Iranians saying this is because continuous and relentless breaches of the ceasefire in southern Lebanon, with accusing Israel of of not sticking to the agreement.
John, just worth reminding us once again of the importance of the Strait of Hormuz to global shipping and the global economy.
It's important because 20% of the world's oil and petrochemical products pass through the strait. Its closure led to a huge surge in oil prices, a surge in the price of plastics, a surge in the price of fertilizers. It meant that we've seen energy prices rise, fuel prices rise. We've seen higher inflation, therefore higher interest rates, affecting everyone paying a mortgage. So a huge impact on the global economy. And as I say, it's the main reason, I think, that Donald Trump was under such pressure to get this deal done, because all the forecasters said if the strait remained closed, we could see a global recession.
And that pressure still on Donald Trump, and reports that J.D. Vance potentially could even still be traveling to Switzerland for talks with the Iranians, even as Tehran closes that strait one more time.
Yeah, no reaction I've seen yet from the White House, but, you know, they are going to be greatly concerned. And it's going to be very interesting to see what pressure the United States can put on Israel regards to Lebanon. Because at the moment, it's difficult to see that while Israeli troops continue to occupy a large chunk of southern Lebanon, they say they maintain operational freedom to strike against Hezbollah. It's hard to see why there aren't going to be continuous breaches of a frankly non-existent ceasefire in southern Lebanon, and that is a key demand of the Iranians. So what are the Americans going to say to the Israelis after, frankly, some of the most striking criticism I've ever heard of Israel by the United States over the past week?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Listen, if you recall, I had numerous conversations on this broadcast in the last 2 days over why this memorandum of understanding was different than what Biden had said in the past. And one of the things I kept stressing over and over again was it depends on the follow through. If the American government actually follows through on the commitments that it's signed off on in the memorandum of understanding, then it's actually different. If they don't, then it's exactly the same thing that we've seen with Brandon. And there is a likelihood that it could be exactly the same as Brandon. Sorry, I'm late, boss. Did I miss anything? Yes, the ceasefire is falling apart. Israel is blowing up Lebanon. And Iran has now said the Strait of Hormuz is closed for business once again. Now, obviously, America's given a bunch of money to Iran already, unfroze some assets, sent some assets over through, sent some assets to Iran by way of the United Arab Emirates and possibly other regional actors. However, Israel is still violating the first provision of the Memorandum of Understanding, which is a permanent cessation of hostilities, which even includes American proxies, Israel, and Iranian proxies in Hezbollah in Lebanon. So now the deal seemingly is falling apart. The Iranian officials did not fly to Switzerland as they were supposed to on Friday. Neither did J.D. Vance. He was supposed to fly on Friday as well to have an in-person meeting to kickstart the process of a 60-day ceasefire negotiations. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be happening.
What are they going to say to try and calm things down?
Yeah, we wait to see Donald Trump's reaction, likely to be a post later, I would have thought, on Truth Social. John Donnison in Jerusalem for the moment. Thanks very much indeed. Well, as John was saying, the Israeli military says it has been striking Hezbollah targets in South Lebanon in response to overnight attacks, despite a ceasefire announced less than 24 hours ago.
Why do you think the Israelis are not acting in coordination with the Trump State Department? The only reason why I didn't think so was because the Memorandum of Understanding deals were so antagonistic to Israel's overarching goals in the region that, like, any kind of coordination with the Israeli state would probably not have a Memorandum of Understanding that looked like that. The outline of that deal was unbelievably bad for Israel. So, like, even the mass distribution, the mass dissemination of a deal such as that one that directly rewrites America's foreign policy in the region, directly rewrites American policy in the MENA region, and takes it away from Israel being in the driver's seat to, like, putting American sovereignty back and American interests back in the forefront of our MENA foreign policy vehicle is so antagonistic to the desires of Israel that I don't believe that there was coordination happening. Because it's too it's too embarrassing for Israel. It's too embarrassing for Netanyahu, and unless they were coordinating with the opposition in Israel and they wanted to like destroy Benjamin Netanyahu, because this will inside of Israel, this deal destroys Benjamin Netanyahu's political career. It's over, right? So if they're coordinating, it would be with the opposition, I guess, to just like take out Netanyahu and then bring in a new guy who will come across as more rational or something. I don't know. But this destroys Benjamin Netanyahu's legacy and his political viability going forward.
Well, these are live pictures from Nabatea in southern Lebanon. Israel says more than 50 projectiles were launched.
We call that regime change law. Yeah, but it's not really. I'll be honest with you. That regime change is not dissimilar to, Supreme Leader Khamenei being swapped out with Supreme Leader Khamenei younger. Okay? It's literally not any different. Their overarching goals are identical to one another.
Launched at Israeli Defense Forces troops by the Iran-backed militia group in the south. Lebanon's Civil Defense Agency says ongoing Israeli strikes on the Nabatea district have killed 16 people. From Lebanon, Hugo Bashega reports.
Recent promises of peace in Lebanon have often ended in more war. A country under attack also feels under siege. And Nabatea is hammered again.
We've been here for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, here's Bibi's moderate opposition, by the way. One of the moderates challenging Netanyahu is a former IDF chief of staff, Gadi Eisenkot, who developed the Dahiyya doctrine in which entire villages are treated as military targets. It was named after a suburb of Beirut that was devastated under his command. It's a tactic that was initially utilized in the Korean War, which I often will point to as a genocide that was not seen as a genocide because it was the Allied forces conducting it. But yeah, he's one of many. All of the quote-unquote moderates are actually just as vicious. Some are even more militant than Benjamin Netanyahu is, if you could even have more militancy. At least they're presenting themselves as being to the right of Benjamin Netanyahu when it comes to Iran and when it comes to Lebanon. Ironically enough, every single moderate, every single quote-unquote moderate, every single opposition figure in Israel right now is currently presenting themselves to the right of Benjamin Netanyahu as far as foreign policy, Israeli foreign policy goes. Yeah.
And there's been a wave of very intense Israeli airstrikes. We've just heard another one. And we can see the plumes of smoke rising from the locations that have been hit. And now there's also the sound of an Israeli drone flying in the distance.
At this hospital, the ambulances arrive but only bring the dead. They are left on the floor of the morgue, already full. These men
Yes, I covered Yair Lapid famously, who criticized Benjamin Netanyahu for not blowing up or not being able to convince Donald Trump to blow up the entirety of the electricity grid of Iran. That is supposed to be the opposition figure. Israel is doing their own weird twisted version of like American politics. You know how like Democrats will come out, like Chuck Schumer will come out and be like, you better not actually deal with Iran. You better not negotiate with Iran. That's how it's going on. That's what's going on in Israel as well. Like the opposition is frustrated with Benjamin Netanyahu because there hasn't been enough war crimes.
Counting the losses of this war, but never losing hope.
Are you tired?
Of course we are tired, but this is nothing when you save the life of a child or an elderly person. There was supposed to be a ceasefire, and many people had returned to their homes. This contributed to the increase in the number of casualties.
The bombing was in response to the killing of 4 Israeli soldiers by Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. As we leave, we see a motorbike still on fire, and the risky mission to retrieve yet another body. There's now a new ceasefire, but a lasting truce remains elusive. Yesterday, we had a rare chance to see the part of Lebanon that is under Israeli occupation, on a humanitarian mission of the Order of Malta. Israel says it has no intention of pulling its troops out of Lebanon. It wants to create a security zone along the border, free of Hezbollah. We saw the Israeli military presence, but were not allowed to film much of the journey. There's nothing left in Shia villages. Families who've been forced to flee may never be able to come back. The piles of rubble are now a symbol of destroyed buildings, broken promises, and lives.
Let's bring in Dr. H.A. Hellier, who is a Senior Associate Fellow at the think tank RUSI. Dr. Hellier, thanks very much for your time. How serious, in your view, is this new closure of the Strait?
Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure. I think it is quite serious. I think, unfortunately, it's quite predictable, though. The Iranians made it clear that they would consider the continued bombing of Lebanon by the Israelis to be something that was permitted by Washington, D.C., and would be a violation of the MOU. Now, the Iranians are very...
If you were president, would you invade Israel? There's no need. It's like saying, would I invade Long Island? Like, sure, it's funny to entertain the thought, but you don't need to do that. There are many different levers you can pull before doing that, you know?
Very nefarious actor in the region. I don't think there should be a debate about that. But at this point, they're not wrong. The Israelis would not proceed in Lebanon unless they were sure that there wasn't going to be a price to be exacted by the Americans, that there wouldn't be leverage that would be used by the Americans. And of course, the Americans have tremendous leverage over the Israelis. And they're correct. Washington could have stopped the Israelis from proceeding this faction, has opted not to do so. And unfortunately, very predictable that the Iranians would say, well, in that case, we can consider this a violation of the MOU. The MOU says very explicitly that there has to be a ceasefire in Lebanon. And the Israelis have made it very clear that they intend to undermine this MOU. U.S. intelligence has confirmed that over the last few days. American politicians have been railing against, including Vice President Vance and Donald Trump himself, against Netanyahu and his cabinet. So I think this is quite predictable.
I mean, Israel says it was responding to incoming fire, but you are saying, are you, that you think that this is a deliberate attempt by Israel to sabotage and break apart that memorandum of understanding?
So let's...
Yes, of course it is. I don't like that the media treats people like they're stupid children all the time. Oh, I wonder what's going on here. Yeah, perhaps what's going on here is exactly what Israel said they would do over and over again, which is the continuation of the bombing of Lebanon and a violation of the memorandum of understanding. That is literally what Israel sought to do here, and that is precisely what Israel is doing here. Wow, who could have foreseen this? No, you're watching BBC. What do you expect? No, actually, this is good, though. I mean, in the past, I think BBC would have covered this as, Israel had no other choice but to restrain Hezbollah. It's a sovereign state. It makes perfect sense for them to do this. So the fact that they're actually having real analysts on to be like, yeah, no, Israel is 100% ruining this memorandum of understanding is a change of attitude from even the European allies. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. This kind of coverage isn't bad. It's actually good. Perhaps it's a little too late, but I'm glad that it's happening even now.
Let's be clear about two things here. One, when it comes to incoming fire where? They're talking about incoming fire, if there is any incoming fire, on Lebanese territory. That's occupied territory. That's 20% of Lebanon that the Israelis currently occupy, and they're bombing beyond that point. So that's one. Two, U.S. intelligence has already said, again, earlier this week, it was reported, that Netanyahu intends to undermine this MOU. And the vice president and the president of the United States have made it very clear that they do not agree with how the Israelis are proceeding. They've used very harsh language with regards to certain.
Congrats on all the actually 60 IQ influencers who had to hammer home so hard how Trump is surrendering instead of saying how big his balls are and how huge they were if he stood up to Israel. I don't think that would have changed the dynamic that much. Let's be real. As much as I want to dunk on those people as well, and I have dunked on those people as well, I think these kinds of decisions are not being made with Donald Trump keeping, influencers in mind, or Donald Trump didn't hear Josh Gottheimer yell about him. And that's the reason why he's like allowing Israel to ruin this deal. It was pretty obvious that Israel was going to do this. If I can see it, then I'm sure, people in Trump's corner could see it. And what matters now is what Trump will do. If it stays with the fake red lines, Brandon style, oh, don't you invade Rafah, we are going to get really mad. If it turns into that, then you know that they had no ambitions of following through on this, and they just wanted to move the markets along to make it seem like there was a moment of respite with no care or consideration for what happens if that deal doesn't get followed through on. But I think Trump can control Israel. Any American president can. Anyone that says America can't restrain Israel is delusional. Of course America can restrain Israel. America is the senior partner in this coalition, and I will repeat it every single day till the red heifer is found, okay? Israel's jets are American jets. Israel's guided and unguided munitions are American munitions. The jet fuel that is loaded on to Israeli fighter jets is American jet fuel. The Stratotankers Israel relies on in order to go on long bombing missions all the way in Tehran or all around the region are American Stratotankers. The targeting systems that Israel takes advantage of are American targeting systems. Israel cannot shoot anything in this region. Maybe Israel could go to Lebanon and bomb Lebanon without too much American aid, but Israel can't do anything without the United States of America. Israel can't react, or Israel can't act without American go-ahead, because Israel relies on the United States of America for defense in its entirety, down to the Iron Dome system. The Tamir interceptors are made in the United States of America. It's a joint partnership. They're paid for with our Obama-era memorandum of understanding, $3.8 billion a year. The level of control that we have over Israeli foreign policy is profound. It's just a matter of willingness. If Donald Trump wants to stop Israel, all it takes is one phone call. If Joe Biden wanted to stop Israel, all it would take is one phone call. That was always the case. My analysis on that has not changed because the reality has not changed. Israel is not an independent nation. It's not a sovereign nation. Israel is our attack dog. However, having said all of this, Israel absolutely has... Oh no, what the hell? What the hell is this? What the heliante? Oh my God. A perfect red heifer has been born in Israel according to the Temple Institute. Oh no, the red cow has come home. Just kidding. I see some whites on here. I see some white hairs on here. You can't cheat it. Robert Skvarla says, my favorite recurring bit in these end times has been the ongoing collaboration between all the most insane people in the U.S. and Israel to birth the apocalypse cow. That's hay? No, it's not. It's white hairs, bro. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, in order to bring about the end times, there's like a psychotic cult in Israel that believes that if there was a red, that is in coordination with the white evangelical Protestant movement, that's also even more insane than the regular white evangelical Protestants that are fundies, that believe that if there's a red heifer that they find that doesn't have a single, that is like perfectly red, okay, not a single blemish, not a single white hair on this red heifer, then ultimately they will burn this cow, and then they'll destroy the temple, or they'll destroy the mosque, and then this triggers Armageddon. This triggers the rapture. It brings about the end times. It's literally a thing that a decent number of people believe. Unfortunately, Mike Huckabee being one of those people. So there are people in positions of power that also believe this, like insane, psychotic end times conspiracy theory, end times prophecy. Anyway, but it's funny stuff. It's funny business.
Members of the Israeli cabinet, but also with regards to Netanyahu himself. I mean, Trump said in an Axios interview just a couple of days ago, we have to keep Netanyahu.
No, that's not a South Park bit, man. That's real. That's a real thing that people believe, unfortunately. It's based on a footnote from a Protestant translator in like 1500-ish. Yeah, whatever.
Sane.
Well, on that, Dr. Hellier, sorry to jump in. We're a bit short of time, but I mean, do you think that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance...
It's not a cult. What do you mean? The concept of the red heifer, para adumah, is deeply rooted in the Torah. Numbers 19 is a purification ritual required before a third temple can be rebuilt. What do you say? It's a cult? What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say to that? Like, you want me to take that seriously? It's mainstream? No, the fuck it's not mainstream, dude. No, it's not. Messianic Jews are not mainstream. Have you ever met a Jewish person? Like, in the United States of America? Like, there's varying degrees of insanity within the Zionist movement as well. Okay? From liberal Zionists like Brad Lander or Bernie Sanders down to the fucking Kahanas. So obviously, if we're making this distinction for religious Jews, not all Jews, okay, dude. Yes, some of them also believe the Messiah is coming back, okay? And then there are others who believe the Messiah is not dead. Who gives a shit? Yes, it's cultish thinking. You live in LA, literally every Christian in the Midwest believes this shit. I don't think every Christian in the Midwest believes this. There are people who believe it to varying degrees, okay? It's also an evangelical thing, so I'd say this is a solid 30 to 40% of the U.S. population. No, it's not. There are a lot of Christian evangelical Zionists that actually do think that, you know, all the Jews are going to go to Israel and then the rapture is going to happen and they're going to get harponzoed into the fucking heavens, right? Like, there are a lot of people who believe that, but not all of them also believe in the red heifer prophecy, okay? We're now making distinctions between like the Mormon church and the LDS and, you know, all this other stuff, right? Like, there's like you're parsing through the Neturei Karta versus other Orthodox Hasidic sects. Like, there are differences between the things that these guys all believe. Evangelical Zionism isn't sold through this mysticism and prophecy. It's sold way more directly. If you support Israel, God will support you stuff. Yes. I'm sorry, but you're wrong about this. Bro, they're horny as fuck for the rapture. Yes, you're misunderstanding my point. I'm saying that even those who are horny for the rapture don't believe that like the red heifer must be found. The red heifer thing is like a super specific version of that. Do you not, maybe I'm not doing a good job explaining this. There are a lot of evangelical Protestant Zionists who believe in the rapture theory, but some of them actually subscribe to the idea of the red heifer, but the red heifer is not the majority of evangelical Christian Zionists. Red heifer is a niche version, a more bass boosted version of this, like triggering the rapture personally by doing this, like finding the red heifer. It's not really important to make this. I mean, I think it's important to make this distinction because it's like an even more insane version of a already insane conspiracy. But like, you know, in order to make sure that we are as accurate as possible, I'm gonna tell you, is a DLC upon a DLC. Okay.
Still have Netanyahu in their pocket and still can control him, or does this show that actually the US is once again losing control of this war?
So let's be very clear. If they want to use the leverage they have in order to ensure that Netanyahu does back off, they can do so. But this is a choice, right? The United States has tremendous leverage, I'll say it again, over the Israelis, and they refuse to use it, whether it's in terms of arms cooperation, protection of the UN, military integration. There's so many tools in the toolbox, but the United States refuses to use those tools. And the Israelis know that they won't use them, hence they proceed. If they think that the United States will use them, they will stop, they will turn back.
Dr. H.A. Hellier, we must leave it there, Senior Associate Fellow at the RUSI think tank. Thanks very much for your thoughts.
Thank you.
And with that, we'd like to bring in Vice President J.D. Vance. Mr. Vice President, thank you for being here. I want to start with where the peace deal stands.
Major updates from J.D. Vance. Major updates from Jorkin to Peanuts Vance on the deal that is seemingly going nowhere. The first question should be, why are you in studio and not in Switzerland? You know, because you were supposed to be in Switzerland today.
Reportedly told that Witkoff and Kushner are expected to be in Switzerland today. You were at one point expected to possibly be there. Do you have plans? Will you go?
Yeah, so we'll plan the talks when the principals from the Iranian government, also the Qatari and the Pakistani government arrive. That may happen as soon as tomorrow, but these things are always a little bit in flux. Jared and Steve have been on the ground now for a few hours, dealing with some of the technical elements of this negotiation. As you guys know, one of the things the president has set us out to do as a high priority is to open the straits. That's now happened. We actually got 16 million barrels of oil out of the Straits of Hormuz yesterday. That is a record going back to even before the conflict started. So you're seeing those ships move. The second thing the president has asked us to do, of course, is to get the enriched stockpile of uranium to ensure that we make it effectively impossible for the Iranians to rebuild their nuclear program, even over a very long period of time. The program is destroyed.
I don't get it. Are they putting on like uglier and uglier buttons as a joke, as a meme? What's happening here? Like this is the Mark Levin method. It keeps getting larger. It reminds me of the yellow ribbons that everyone would put on their suits to remind people of the hostages, the Hamastages. But it's like everyone is just like wearing increasingly uglier and bigger pins on their suits.
But we're, of course, trying to take away as many of the cards where they may try to rebuild it if they don't behave under this agreement. So that's the first part of the negotiation. My understanding, talking to Jared and Steve this morning, is things are going well. But of course, we're going to verify all of this. And that's the thing that, you know, a lot of the criticisms of the deal have really underappreciated, is that the United States has all the cards. The straits are now open. The Iranian military is now destroyed. The Iranians have committed to, of course, destroying that stockpile of enriched material, but we have a lot of economic pressure applied to the Iranians that we would be willing to relieve if they do what we need them to do. If they don't do that, of course, there's no skin off our back. They're still in a much weakened position.
So do you have any immediate plans to join Jared and Steve?
Yeah, I expect that I will leave sometime the next couple of days, but, you know, it's always a delicate coordination dance and the diplomatic protocols. I got to be honest with you, I don't really understand these things. I've never been particularly into diplomatic protocols.
Oh, I'm just a yokel. Went to Yale, by the way. Oh, I'm just a yokel. I don't understand these things at all. I'm just like you. Oh, I don't really much care for diplomacy. Oh, shucks. You're the vice president, dude. Shut up. What is this LARP, man? What is this hillbilly elegy LARP, bro? We need to stop the LARP. We need to stop the LARP. It's too much. It's too much LARPing, big dog.
My attitude is, let's get on the ground and actually fix these problems. But they want to do a delicate dance. The Qataris and the Pakistanis want to make sure that we do this in the right way. So I'm trying to be respectful. Given my position of the last year and a half, I have to care about diplomatic protocols all of a sudden.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, last night I had Victor Davis Hanson on, the great Victor Davis Hanson on my...
Do you have faith in this deal? No. And the only reason why I don't have faith in this deal is because it's not in the hands of the United States. It's not in the hands of Iran. It's in the hands of Israel. And for some strange reason, America refuses to do what they need to do, which is to restrain Israel.
I was guest hosting for Jesse Waters Primetime. And he laid out in an op-ed, and we discussed it on the show, a lot of the misconceptions about the deal, the memorandum of understanding, and this potential peace deal with Iran. And I thought he did a really good job doing that. I agree that there are misconceptions, but is it possible, Mr. Vice President, that there's not just misconceptions about the deal, but that there are different goals between the partners? In other words, is Israel's goal regime change at all costs, and America's goal is to make sure they don't have nukes and open the Straits of Hormuz? And is that where some of the problem is? And also, are you confident that you can maintain this ceasefire enough to get you to Switzerland and get this deal signed?
So first of all, Rachel, I'm very confident we can maintain the ceasefire. And I don't know if there's a divergence of goals or sometimes just a divergence of how to accomplish those goals. I obviously don't want to speak for the Israeli government. They've been a good partner in a lot of ways. But what the President of the United States has said, counter to some of the elements within their government, is that we're going to give this negotiation a chance. We're going to go after that enriched.
Dude, everyone's going crazy over this Peter Thiel Society thing. Yes, dude, we covered it the first day. It's kind of funny because, it's not the only thing that is the only reason why this is news is because Peter Thiel thought that he could get away with making this a secretive society rather than just making it out in the open. It's just I hate to be a spoiler here, but the reality is this is not that unique. These are all the same type of people that get together very publicly all the time. It's just, I guess the only thing that's unique about it is that they try to keep it a secret. That's it.
Stockpile of uranium. We're going to try to reset the situation that we have so that the Iranians don't just have a destroyed nuclear program now, but so that we can say with some confidence, a combination of inspections and verification, that they're never going to be able to rebuild that program. The president, Rachel, comes back to this, as you know, because you know him so well, constantly. Iran's not going to have a nuclear weapon for the next 2.5 years. He's thinking about this for my kids' sake, for our grandkids' sake, to ensure that you never have this regime with the ability to develop a nuclear weapon. And then at the same time, the president is also offering an outstretched hand, saying that if they change their behavior fundamentally, then the United States could have a different relationship with that country. So it really is a two-step process. There's a fork in the road here. The United States wins either way, but I think that what ultimately happens from here is very much up to the Iranians. Do they want to behave better? If so, great. If they don't want to behave better, the president of the United States still has a whole lot of options from here.
So, Mr. Vice President, I certainly understand that part, but I do want to ask you about some of the criticism you're getting, to include from the Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Roger Wicker and others, Republicans, that have said they're concerned that the gains that the president is able to get right now in diminishing Iran's capabilities, in setting back their nuclear program, that even if they began to perform, as you said, they'll be held to account, that to give them something like $300 billion in this fund, in other ways, to economically reconstitute their regime, that at a later date, they would just go right back to doing what they've done for 47 years. Your reaction?
So my reaction, first of all, I like Roger. He's a friend of mine, but I think that he's wrong on this because he actually misstates the sequencing of what the MOU says. What the MOU says is that if the Iranians behave over a long period of time, they could get some of the benefits of this bargain. And so, what the president has said is, for example, let's say that one of Iran's regional neighbors, not a single penny of this money is coming from the United States, but let's say down the road that one of Iran's regional neighbors wanted to build a power plant. Of course, they would need some sanctions changes from the United States in order to do that. Well, if Iran has changed their behavior, why wouldn't we want greater economic integration between them and their neighbors? And if they haven't changed their neighbor, of course, we're not going to permit or encourage that. And so I think that Roger, in some ways, has made the mistake of some of the Democrats who have criticized this, which is that they assume that Iran gets the benefits without changing their behavior. That's not in the text of the agreement. That's not in the
By the way, this is just conjecture, pure conjecture. They're going to change their behavior, and there's a mechanism that we are going to implement to change their behavior, all this stuff. Like there is nothing in the fine print yet because the ceasefire, the ceasefire talks haven't even started. And they're not going to start unless they can stop Israel. Okay, it's very clear that the Trump administration thought, oh, if we bribe the Iranians, maybe they'll shut up. Maybe they'll be down to do a ceasefire negotiation, and they won't actually stress the importance of restraining Israel too much. It turns out they do care about that, and it's good. It's good that they care about it because obviously it's an existential threat. If Israel continues to dominate American foreign policy and continues to lead American foreign policy, it doesn't matter what the American side offers to Iran. As long as Israel is there leading the pack, Israel's ultimate goal is the destruction of Iran. So, of course, it's not going to work in the long term, in the long run. All of those commitments mean nothing, which is why I kept repeatedly saying for the last 3 months now, the most consequential aspect of this memorandum of understanding from the 10-point plan that turned into the 14-point plan has always been the first provision. America must restrain Israel in Lebanon. If they can't do that, then none of this matters because Israel can just go back to bombing Iran. Israel can go back to taking over more and more Lebanese territory. The entire purpose of Iranian sovereignty from the Israeli foreign policy perspective is that Iran can always present a military threat or a deterrence to Israel as it advances its Greater Israel expansionist project. If they can cut out the middleman and go directly to the United States of America and get the United States of America to restrain Israel from advancing this project, then that's all that matters. That's great. But until that first and most important provision is followed through on, I don't think Iranians are going to see this as a good faith bargain. I don't think Iranians are going to see this as like Americans acting in good faith at all. Because why should they?
The substance of any of the conversations that we've had. And I would say, with all due respect to Senator Wicker, the President of the United States has shown that he's very willing to be tough in order to accomplish America's security objectives. He's not going to lose in this negotiation what we gained over the last year and a half of our engagement with Iran. He is going to ensure that we maximize benefits for the American people, but he's also saying we don't want to have a situation where if the Iranians are willing to change their behavior, we say no. Isn't the change of behavior exactly what we want? And if they do that, of course, we're going to change our relationship with them.
Well, recognizing that this is obviously an ongoing negotiation and we're still in sort of the delicate diplomatic dance, we haven't even really gotten to the diplomatic dance part. I do want to ask you about a question about the current state. Wall Street Journal reporting that the remnants of the Iranian Navy are actually turning ships back in the Strait of Hormuz. Is that, based on your understanding of the memo of understanding, is that a violation of the memo of understanding? If not, is that a problem? And if it is, what should be the response at this point in the negotiations if they are violating it?
So I'm skeptical of that reporting, or at least of some of the conclusions that could be drawn from it. But let me try to explain this because it's actually quite important. So right now, the Straits of Hormuz, a 20-mile waterway that is a choke point for all this oil and gas, we know those straits have a lot of mines in them. Like I said just now, we got 16 million barrels out of the Strait of Hormuz in just the last 24 hours. That is basically to where it was before the war even started. And so that suggests that the straits really are open. Now, what I would believe is that if a ship was going near a minefield, either our Navy or somebody else's Navy, there are a lot of countries other than Iran who are in the region, might say, no, don't go there because there are mines there. And what the MOU contemplates is a 30-day period where we demine the straits, where we open up the traffic there. But no, we're not seeing any evidence that the Iranians are still closing down the Strait of Hormuz. It is going to take some time to clear those mines, though.
You know, I know you're a Christian man, JD, and in the process of this conflict, we know that things opened up in Lebanon. A conflict opened up in Lebanon between Israel and the terrorists and Hezbollah. And so many Christians have been displaced, tens of thousands of them, and thousands have lost their lives as well. Do you have a message to the Christians in Lebanon?
Well, I would just say that to those Christians in Lebanon, keep your faith in Jesus Christ and know that you have a lot of good friends in the United States government who are trying to promote peace in the region. You know, the fundamental problem for those Christians, or the reason that those Christians face such violence, is because you have Hezbollah, a terrorist organization that has effectively taken up shop in Lebanon. Sometimes they're firing at the Israelis. Of course, that means the Israelis are going to respond in self-defense. And so there's this constant slow burn of conflict. It's actually gotten a lot better, Rachel, over the last couple of weeks, thanks to the work of the president, of Secretary Rubio, and of a whole lot of others in the administration. But sometimes peace takes a little bit of time to really take root. And that's what we're working towards. And that's really what we're working towards in the entire region, is
Thank
just
God.
to change the way that we've done business. It's such a beautiful region of the world. There are so many Christians, Jews, Muslims who live there. Most of them are, of course, peaceful people. There's great economic potential. If you talk to our friends in Israel and the Gulf Coast, what they're saying is that if this deal really takes root, this could transform the Middle East in a positive direction. Obviously, we have skeptics of the deal, but I think we've got to give more voice also to the people who think that Donald Trump is on the verge of accomplishing something that has never been accomplished before.
Yeah. Well, I commend you for you and the president working towards peace. It's certainly commendable, and it's a wonderful thing. So thank you for that.
Mr. Vice President, can I change gears a little bit and talk politics? Because we have been speaking this morning about the rise of socialism. We're seeing, obviously...
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Fucking Jesus Christ. Okay, dude. The Strait of Hormuz is now closed again, according to the Iranian military. Not just military strikes on Israel, but global economic consequences are now being threatened if Israel does not end its war in southern Lebanon, in accordance with the MOU. And by the way, there is also an important factor here. European partners. I think European partners need to be applying maximum pressure to Israel right now to abide by the MOU. And European partners should be applying maximum pressure to the United States of America right now to force Israel to abide by the Memorandum of Understanding. Do I think they will? No, I don't. I don't think they will. I'm not joking. I think that they should, but I don't think they will. And it's kind of wild because they do have an opportunity. They have the leverage. They could do it. They're just not doing it. We do what Daddy Trump says. Of course, always. After the closure of Hormuz, Iran's foreign ministry says Iranian negotiators will be heading to Switzerland for U.S. talks after initially backing out. They're apparently going to follow up regarding U.S. commitments, but are not negotiating for a final deal until the war stops. I mean, this also doesn't exactly give me confidence that Iran is actually following through on any sort of commitments to close the Strait of Hormuz. Because if the Iranian foreign ministry is still shipping Iranian negotiators to Switzerland for U.S. talks, and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are going, then this is basically, it makes me feel like Iran is negotiating from a position of weakness. I go back and forth on this a lot, but it does feel like the Iranians are not following through. Did you hear about Callas? Israel have cut off diplomatic relations with EU because of Kaja Callas. What did she say?
There in Washington, D.C., we now have expected to be Mayor Janice Lewis George, who's a socialist. You've got Graham Plattner running in Maine. But then here in New York, we had Mayor Mamdani, along with Bernie Sanders, campaigning with a socialist candidate, Darliza Chevalier, that is advocating for abolishing not only ICE, but also prisons. What do you make of the rise of socialism?
Well, I'd say two things. First of all, my genuine hope was that the lesson the Democrats learned from the 2024 election is maybe we should stop being so crazy.
Dude, this is so funny. When you hear your opposition that despises you and wants you to lose say things like this, you have to understand that this is not sincere advice, right? And yet, third way style Democrats hear J.D. Vance say this and go, you know what? He's right. True centrism hasn't been tried. Dog, true centrism lost. They know it. That's why they're saying this. So my message to Democrats is when you hear J.D. Vance talk about the left flank and how crazy the left flank is and how this is going to ruin their chances of winning elections. They don't want you to win elections, you idiot. Why would they want a strong Democratic Party? They've never said they want a strong Democratic Party. It's fake. And if you are so ideologically minded and so invested in the continuation of neoliberalism, when it's collapsing, when it's cratering in popularity in front of our eyes, that you hear J.D. Vance say that and go, yeah, he's cooking. Okay, you're destined to lose. As far as Daria Liza's like former perspectives or tweets or whatever that these guys keep making a big deal out of, I am a little worried. I will admit that. I love Daria Liza. I think she will be a fantastic congresswoman. However, having said that, a lot of people don't know who she is. And if everyone that's learning about her for the first time ever are learning about the most negatively framed quotes, like, oh, Daria Liza wants to let rapists roam free or whatever, you know what I mean? Like the most negative framing possible, they're going to be like, she's an unserious person. Okay? It sucks. So I am certainly worried about her race. I'm more worried about her race than I am even of the Claire Valdez race. And I'm certainly worried about that one too. Espaillat is also running an unbelievably racist campaign, deploying Dominicans from DR in all of her replies that keep saying over and over again that she's Haitian. She's Afro-Latina, by the way, from the Dominican Republic. Daria Liza is. And that is like inside baseball racist shit. Obviously, being called Haitian is not like it's one of those things where the intention of it is racist. It's just not, you know, if you're a normal person, you're like, why would that be a problem, right? But yeah, Representative Espaillat's supporters have been deploying some of the most racially animated attacks. Idiot. I don't need to be a supporter of Adriana Espaillat to call out that traitor for what she is, a pair of nonsense things who isn't Dominican. She's Haitian and who said so many things against my country. Her hatred towards DR, she now wants to hide with cunning because she needs the Dominican community. Let her go wipe her ass with a Haitian flag like she's used the DR flag to clean her furniture. And no, I'm not a follower of Adriana Espaillat, you useless fool. Democrats, what can you expect from you? And when you are going to talk about me, do it to my face and tag me, coward. Yeah. Supporters of Representative Espaillat have spent days calling Daria Liza Haitian on social media. She is Dominican. It is also, in this context, clearly intended as a racist insult. So the reason why I'm still worried about this race is because people don't have the name recognition for Daria Liza. She's young. She's an insurgent candidate. She represents an insurgent candidacy, right? And as someone who's young, and as someone who has a background in like immigration advocacy and working with working with people that are some of the least privileged people in American society, she has that experience, and her worldview is guided by empathy. But the problem is, it's already difficult because Espaillat is like a long-term incumbent at this point, head of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. So he is already a powerful figure, and there are a lot of powerful interests at play here. Obviously, the Israel lobby is dumping boatloads of money into this. And that money will go against her biggest weakness, which is lack of name recognition. If you haven't been able to define your message, if you haven't been able to define yourself and your candidacy, and if you haven't been able to go out and show people who you are, right? The Zoran endorsement alone is not going to carry it. You have to pump ads and show people what your policies are and why you're different than Espaillat, right? But at that point, money does matter. Money plays a major role in this race. If Espaillat is able to flood the airwaves with tremendous negative attack ads, which he has been doing, okay, to an unbelievable degree. With AIPAC funded, with the Latino Victory Fund funded attack ads that are coming against her. The worry that I have is that people's first recollection of Daria Lisa is going to be with people's first understanding of who, first encounter of who Daria Lisa is going to be negative. Is going to be like, oh, she wants, rapists and drug dealers and murderers to be roaming the streets, that type of shit. And I'm not so certain the older voters in Harlem and in this district are going to look at that and understand the nuances of her perspective, of her position. As someone who is an abolitionist, right? Like, her perspective is obviously far more pragmatic, but she does not shy away from revealing that, like, her ultimate goal is to move in the direction of an evolved society that focuses on rehabilitation rather than incarceration. But of course, when you're running a campaign, it's a lot different than the theoretical conversation that you're having, where people could just like take whatever you're saying and bastardize it, right? Something that we are obviously very aware of on this broadcast, given the million different ways in which people have taken my nuanced perspectives on American foreign policy and turned it into Hassan loves terrorism and Hassan loves terrorists. Now, of course, if they were attacking her by consistently saying she's an anti-Semitic radical, she's an anti-Semitic terrorist, well, people have a lot more, people are aware of the nuances in that conversation, because for the past 3 years, they've seen Israel commit a genocide and all of its prominent critics be branded anti-Semitic radical terrorists. So, of course, people are much more knowledgeable on this now, but they're not so knowledgeable when it comes to the issue of prison abolition or police abolition or things of that nature. Why do you think Plattner didn't have this issue? Most people also learned about him through negative coverage. I also share concerns about Daria Lisa. Plattner's white, and also he town halled both of his opponents, both Susan Collins and also Janet Mills. He literally was everywhere. He's a white guy in Maine. And this district is black and brown as well, for the record. So that, kind of eliminates one weakness for Daria Lisa. But also, white men are pretty OP in American society. But also, perhaps more importantly, he had a lot longer of a runway to go to virtually every town in Maine and present himself in person to every single person, right? That's very different than the Daria Lisa race, which is like a much shorter time frame. Then, of course, there is obviously misogynoir that play as well. So these are hurdles. These are hurdles that you can overcome, but it's very difficult when you're looking at $6.9 million in anti-Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier or pro-Adriana Espaillat spending, including $650,000 directly from AIPAC, compared to the $2.4 million in anti-Espaillat or pro-Avila Chevalier spending, including $1.3 million from American Priorities. So in that circumstance, money does matter. The only way you can actually combat this level, this barrage of hateful smear attacks, is by having decent ground game, which I do believe DSA has. Hopefully, they're not spread too thin between these numerous districts that they're running campaigns on. But Justice Democrats haven't done much in New York 7, which is an easy win for them. This is a sign that Claire is gradually being written off. It's wrong. The reason why Justice Democrats is spending more money on the Daria Lisa race is because they're more worried about the Daria Lisa race as opposed to the Claire race. I would agree with you normally, but the fact that Claire made up a conspiracy theory about PAC supporting, no, that's bullshit. Valdez is at 82% in betting markets right now, so if you think she's cooked, I would put the farm on Reynosa, who's trading at 18%. Sorry, the betting markets thought Cuomo would win. I'm explaining why they think putting resources in the New York 7 is not a priority, not claiming the markets are clairvoyant. I assume both indicators are pulling from the same data set. Both of these races are going to be tough races, for the record. One is an incumbent race against an establishment Democrat. The other one is an empty seat with the outbound incumbent endorsing Antonio Reynoso, who is seemingly a more progressive force than an establishment Democrat. Antonio Reynoso is also young, going up against Claire Valdez in the commie corridor. So there's numerous benefits in both, and numerous difficulties in both of these races. Michael Lange says, according to my analysis of early voting data, the New York 7 electorate has trended younger for 7 straight days, an encouraging sign for Claire Valdez as we enter the homestretch. Today's voting patterns from an age perspective resemble the Mamdani electorate of 2025. That's good. That's good. I know why, but what are your thoughts on AOC remaining mum on Dara and Claire? Like, to me, there's no time for caution. AOC is beloved in New York City. I know exactly what it is. AOC does not want to disrupt the forces within the Democratic Party and will rarely ever, if at all, endorse against an incumbent, regardless of the fact that she literally won against an incumbent. She was the insurgent candidacy. But yes, she doesn't do that. Bernie Sanders does, because he's an independent senator from Vermont. He doesn't care about caucusing with the Democrats as much as AOC does, because AOC is a Democrat. I've explained this over and over again. That's why they did the cross endorsement, where Zoran endorsed the congressional races and AOC endorsed the down ballot races that Zoran has to deal with. Zoran didn't endorse some of the incumbent races in New York City, and AOC did not endorse the races that are for Congress. Yeah, Zoran has been campaigning hard as a motherfucker, though. Zoran arrives at Maria Hernandez Park with Claire Valdez to rally her canvassers on the final day of early voting on what it would mean to send a DSA slate of candidates to Congress. Here's what he responded with. And he is actually going balls to the wall on this, to give him credit. Okay? He has actually been trying very hard. I think he also understands, I mean, this is part of the reason why he was elected, right? This is what we wanted out of him. To be a successful mayor, and to feed that popularity back into insurgent candidacies that will then slowly but surely change the trajectory of American politics on the Democratic Party side. And he has been doing that. He's been putting in the fucking work, to give him credit.
What would it mean to send a slate of DSA candidates to Congress?
No, it would mean that Timmy Faciola would have the choice of whether to cover New York City or D.C., but I trust that he would make the right call. Me and my ballot in that beautiful thing.
I saw a liberal say that Zoran is using his NYPD campaign for candidates. That's funny. Taking this into consideration, do you think this means that he regrets opposing Chiose? Why would he oppose this? If anything, the fact that these races are so close is probably maybe a little bit more proof that Zoran might have made the right decision there, even though I do still think that he should not have stood in opposition to Chi's run against Hakeem Jeffries. But like, obviously these races are not easy locks with all the push that Zoran is giving it. So clearly Zoran is not the kingmaker either. This is a thing that I keep trying to explain to people. No one man, no singular force in American politics is a kingmaker. There are so many different forces at play here. There's so much moneyed interest. There's so much inside politics, both inside of New York local politics, but also in the Democratic Party side, in the National Democratic Party. There are so many different interests of capital at play here. Real estate developers, the Israeli lobby, right? Trump for MAGA. Okay, you're comparing Donald Trump, who has almost singularly rewrote American politics in his own design over the course of the last decade. Come on, guys. With a base of support that is cultish already, we can only help. That's why I stress the importance of going out and pushing for these candidates, right? That's why I stress the importance of going out and canvassing for these candidates, to all of you, to phone bank for these candidates, to get them across the finish line. Anyway, why does Obama never endorse? Is it like it'd be too OP? Genuine question. I think Obama's endorsement would carry a lot of weight, but he doesn't do that anyway. He rarely ever does that. New York DSA has a text banking for the upcoming phone banks is a great way to get people involved, chat. Yes. So yeah, that's the situation. Anyway, let's hear what J.D. Vance had to say more about the socialism.
And unfortunately, the lesson that Democrats seem to have learned from the 2024 election is to lean into the most radical fringes of their party. I mean, you guys know this. I was raised by patriotic, Christian, blue-collar Democrats who loved this country, but they weren't Republicans. But I feel, unfortunately, that those patriotic, blue-collar Democrats, they increasingly don't have a place in that party anymore, at least among the elected senior leadership ranks. The other thing I'll say about this is I always find it interesting when socialists tell me that they really stand up for working people and they want to protect working people, but they want to abolish ICE. And so what does that mean? That means a flood of low-wage immigrants coming into this country, competing for wages against the working people, black, white, and brown of the United States of America. You do not care about working people if you refuse to enforce the border. Stop pretending that you do.
Yeah, they love to talk about class, and they love to talk about working class. Of course, people who actually know people who work don't call them the working class. They call them, as you just did, workers, but they've never met a worker if they think that their platform is supported by them.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
Just 3 weeks ago, Israel was added to the Secretary General's blacklist for conflict-related sexual violence. Israel, a democracy governed by the rule of law, a country defending its citizens, placed alongside Hamas, alongside Boko Haram, alongside ISIS. I would like to conclude. Ms. Patton caved. She caved to the pressure. Ms. Patton, you had the chance to see the facts. You had the chance to examine the evidence, but you chose not to. So again, I must ask you, why? Why did you not come to see the evidence yourself? Were you afraid the fact would not match the conclusion? This was surrender. Surrender to the Secretary General's campaign against Israel. Surrender to the rapporteurs and the so-called UN experts who bully, pressure, and smear. You caved. You caved to the pressure. You caved to the Secretary General's obsession with targeting Israel.
I'm sorry, but I have to make a point. I have to make a point of order.
Oh my God, that is so bad. I'm so sorry for ruining your ears. I was peeing.
I have a point of order.
Shame on you.
I have a point of order.
Shame on you, Danny Dannon.
You walk out.
We have verified evidence.
You part of
this is a point of order.
You will be quiet now. Israeli UN ambassador Danny Dannon shouting match with UN's Vanessa Fraser. Be quiet, woman. Keir Starmer, breaking news, is officially set to resign as Prime Minister. Several media reports say he'll outline a resignation timetable on Monday after consulting with his wife and family today. According to The Observer, who's closely plugged into Number 10, Starmer now accepts that his time has run out as the majority of Labour MPs now back Andy Burnham. Senior Labour figures believe a clear statement could come as early as Monday. It's understood Starmer will announce a deliberate slow march in good order as a matter of duty and dignity. Labour source says there's a sadness about it all, of course. He's come up hard against the reality that the support isn't there. When the herd moves, it moves. Brilliant. I'm Son Piker, and this is Sky News. Yeah, this is a fate that befalls every single Labour leader. This is how it goes. Labour leaders come, and then they resign in disgrace. Breaking, Israeli Ambassador Danny Dannon lost it on camera at the UN after Israel was added to a blacklist of parties suspected of conflict-related sexual violence. At a meeting Friday, Dannon erupted at UN officials. Does that mean you'll be allowed back into the UK? I highly doubt it. But you can make the "Who must go? Keir Starmer must go" meme about me and Keir Starmer. But yeah, I don't think Andy Burnham is going to be any different than Keir Stalin. Yeah, dude, reform will totally whitelist you. Yeah. I interviewed Danny Dunham 15 years ago on HuffPost Live. When I held him to account, he walked out of the interview. Sadly, the footage has been lost, but the pattern was not lost. This is what Israeli officials so often do when confronted with evidence they cannot bomb, bury, spin, or intimidate into silence. They attack the messenger. They accuse the institution. They demand resignations. They perform outrage as a substitute for accountability. The issue is not whether Danny Dunham is offended. The issue is whether victims of alleged sexual abuse, Palestinian detainees, and children in Israeli custody will be heard over the shouting of a state that has grown accustomed to impunity. Israel was recently added to a UN blacklist for conflict-related sexual violence. Danon revealed the strategy. When the evidence speaks, tell the room to be quiet. Why is everyone using ChatGPT nowadays? Jesus fucking Christ. I love that dude. He was in Palestine 36 as well. Or is it what was it the name? Did I mess up the name of the movie? No, I didn't. It was Palestine 36. He was the one who was in Kuwaiti prison. I've known him for years. I just wish people wouldn't use ChatGPT when they're fucking writing stuff. It's just for rewrites, man, to clean up the text. That's all. That's how it begins. That's how it begins. What? Andy Burnham's a big deal, actually. The wealthy are panicking. He's going to institute a much-needed land value tax to replace the regressive council tax. Yeah, I highly doubt it.
Burnham has finally won the by-election, and plenty of commentators have come out to discuss how this is a rebuke of reform, a validation of a consolidated left. But there's something a bit darker here, and as I always say, watch the hands, not the mouth. But the news articles they're running are about a tax he might bring in if he challenges for the leadership, if he wins the leadership, and if he then implements the tax. And that should tell you everything you need to know about the land value tax and who's always going to...
I like this guy too, actually. He's pretty cool. I saw something that he did about like statistical analysis and how to lie with stats, like with the wrong stats. But I'm not so confident. I'm not so confident that Burnham will spell a difference in labor.
going to stand opposed to it. Hi, my name's Henry. I'm a former wealth manager and economist, now based here in Switzerland. The Evening Standard, The Times, The Telegraph, and even Yahoo Online. The first thing they discussed when this election came up was not Andy's victory, it was the land value tax. And the headlines have been direct and pointed, specifically on the idea that Londoners would have to pay more under Andy Burnham's proposal. But that's if he challenges the leadership, if he wins, and if he implements the tax. Now, if the man of the hour himself is watching this TikTok, which he might be, you never know, I have an answer to the objections and rebuttals that these papers are putting forward in a very clean and easy way. And I'll stick that up on the Substack for later. Let's start with the basics. What is a land value tax? Well, a land value tax is a tax on the unimproved value of the land. Now, before the newspapers call this some kind of socialism or something.
He said he wanted to expand the detention of immigrants. Leftism, is it in the room? Yeah, these guys... This is still, from what I understand, Burnham is also in the same vein as Keir Starmer always was, which is like the quote-unquote soft left, if you want to call it that. I mean, they're just center-right figures, right? That's what the Labour Party represents now. And center-right within the Labour implies a complete concession to reform-style anti-immigrant policies, leaning into culture war issues, and being totally servile to the interests of Israel as well. Burnham has been a part of Labor Friends of Israel since 2015, and he also has, I think, implied that he won't replace Shabana Mahmood, who is the lady responsible for me being barred entry into the United Kingdom, for those of you who don't know. So obviously, if Labor was even remotely invested in maintaining its legacy or even having any viability in the future, they would very quickly go back to being a Corbynite party. And even then, it's not a guarantee that they'd be able to win back the people that they actively purged. Yeah. hasn't even been crowned and Burnham's off to a catastrophic start. Shabana Mahmood will remain in the cabinet if Andy Burnham becomes prime minister, the Telegraph understands. It is understood that Ms. Mahmood is keen to continue her work on immigration reform, which includes tougher citizenship rules for legal migrants, restrictions on indefinite leave to remain status, and ending refugees' right to automatic permanent protection. Yes, this is a lady who banned me as well. So, yeah, from participating in pro-Palestine rallies to overseeing some of the most vicious anti-Palestinian protest repression, Shabana Mahmood is exactly what's wrong with politics in the Western world. And the fact that Burnham, even before he becomes the leader of the Labor Party, is making these sorts of concessions implies that he's not going to be all that different from Keir Starmer.
Insane. This tax was proposed and advocated for by Adam Smith, the founder of modern economics, David Ricardo, and even Winston Churchill in 1909 was a very vocal supporter of this tax. The funniest endorsement of all comes from Milton Friedman, no one's idea of a socialist. He's the basis for Margaret Thatcher's focus on privatization as well. Even he said that land value tax was the least bad tax. Now, Andy Burnham's idea here is simply to scrap council tax, which is, by all measures, a regressive and horrible tax. On this point, Fairer Share UK have been making this point for years and years, and they're right on the money also. And in Andy Burnham's words as well, it's very simple. We overtax work and we undertax land. And from this, it's easy to see where the loudest voices against it will come from, the boroughs where the land is the highest value. Now, to me, it just looks like they've revealed their hand too early. You don't clear the front page of a newspaper, like the Evening Standard, to talk about a land value tax unless you know it's going to bite. Now, amongst all the rabid fear-mongering from these tabloids based in London, trying to put the idea that Londoners will be extortionately taxed, there's only one critique which does hold some actual sound reason. And that comes from Charles Goodhart. He spent an entire career within the Bank of England. But the funny part is that he doesn't hedge his opinion at all. He says the case for a land value tax is overwhelming, and its advantages are not in doubt. But then he shows his hand as well, for why it can't be done. Because if you bring it in too quickly and the house prices fall even marginally, this stops being a house price event and becomes a credit event. Our financial system is heavily embedded in the value of our property because we are in a rentier black hole. 1.7 trillion in outstanding mortgage debt currently. And so again, watch the hands, not the mouth. Our economy is so ingrained into property prices that if you try and tax it, we'll have a serious credit event. That tells you everything you need to know, that the problem is out of hand. Now, this isn't an argument against the tax. In fact, I propose it heavily. However, it does tell you how advanced the disease is in the UK, that we're stuck in a rentier black hole, that the cure itself might kill the patient. And we've been down this road a few times already as a country. In 1909, a land value tax was proposed and ratified by the members of Commons, and then rejected by the House of Lords in what created a constitutional crisis in 1911. Then we were stuck in World War I, and by 1920, the commentary on questions around valuation of the land had the tax repealed. Now, the issue they had in the 1909 version of the land value tax is that it devalued the value of building land. That was a devaluation of the collateral that house builders were using to finance house building, and from there the rate of construction fell. Now that echoes the kind of challenges that we're seeing in the newspapers today against the land value tax. Because of this rentier black hole that we find ourselves in, the collateral channel is massively ingrained in our property values, the cycle that has led them to expanding. This is the difficult balancing act, because the LVT is the least bad tax. Every economist can agree. But when you go into the implementation, you have to have a very delicate and very well-executed plan to look after the collateral channel, to ensure that the house of cards doesn't come down. Now, as I said, I have a solid plan for that is costed and executable today. I'll put it up on the Substack as well, just in case the man of the hour might be watching and might need an idea on how to handle that. But as a general point, as you can see from these articles, when you're judging the quality of a policy or a tax, look for who gets terrified. Because as we can see, the landlords and the largest concentration of wealth are those who are scared right now. And that's before he's even challenged the leadership, won the leadership, or proposed the tax. But ironically, when they've shown their hand this early, before he's even made...
Guess which country Andy Burnham said would be his first visit as the leader of the Labor Party? Shut up. Shut up. He did not. Okay, we'll do the British. We'll do British politics and how busted it is. This is from 5 days ago. UK and Makerfield election last week tonight with John Oliver. Shut up.
We need to now reach out and we need to show that we are listening to people across the board, including in the community. It's clear that when we went into the last election, relationships were damaged. As leader of the Labour Party, I would make it my business to put those relationships right. And as a start of a term, I can say tonight that the first foreign visit I would do as leader of the Labour Party would be to Israel to show that message from the very start.
Bro, what the fuck? I mean, this is old, but even then it's like, why? I'm never getting that fucking visa. I'm never allowed back into the UK. Let's be real, okay? It's not happening. It's just not happening at all. But it's just like, why? Wait, what is this Jewish applause? That's crazy. Okay. This might be from his 2010 election campaign. By the way, I'm not sure, but he doesn't look like that anymore. I mean, it doesn't even fucking matter. What matters is like, he's already a Labor friend to Israel since 2015, I think. Corbyn said in an interview that he messaged Burnham if he'd be willing to even inquire into the relationship with Israel as a prime minister, and he said no. Great. Love that. Fantastic. Thank you. Why surprise, bro? Last year was it's just like, it blows my fucking mind how much Israel has wrapped up every Western country, specifically every fucking specifically the UK and the United States of America, wrapped around its fucking fingies, dude. It's so crazy. And it's not like reform is any different. Obviously, reform is even worse. Reform wants to do Israel in Israel and Israel in the UK as well, as I like to joke about with the reactionary forces of politics in America in the same exact vein. Who hands you the food? Your fucking mom, dude. Your mom. What the hell is going on in chat today, bro? What is going on in chat today? Jesus Christ. We're fucking infested with some weirdos. It's just Saturday vibes are bad. Fucking neo-Nazi weirdos in here. Anyway. The same people that were yelling about you to cover this report won't talk about this. The same week, Rupert Lowe put his bullshit rape gang report falsely claiming Muslims raped 250,000 white girls. And the same week, Elon Musk amplified it on here. This happens. Is anyone surprised? Breaking, a 36-year-old white Scottish man is being investigated by counterterrorism police after 5 people were stabbed in Edinburgh. He said after his arrest, "I'm protecting the country from these fucking Muslim bastards raping our young daughters." Yeah, they're inciting this. This is precisely what they were inciting in the UK, and that's precisely what's going on. I wonder if that one handsome lad in the suit has a video on the Rupert Lowe report, because he does stuff like that a lot. Rights lawyer who also successfully defended his clients who did the exact same thing that Palestine Action did during the fucking Iraq War. If you want to understand how insane British politics is, that flip is basically like Kirsten Sinema going from being a Maoist third worldist or anarchist to being a centrist, center right wing figure that was the ultimate spoiler for many of Biden's policies. Or Van Jones going from a Maoist third worldist to the neoliberal right wing Israel stooge, pro-Israel stooge he is. Or his home secretary, Shabana Mahmood, who also was a big, pro-Palestine activist in like 2014 and now is responsible for jailing those people. It's so interesting how that goes. The supposed left party that is a center-right party pivots to the right, and lo and behold, shockingly, all that does is increase the legitimacy of the far-right party. A story as old as time itself. Quite literally, same happened in Germany. Yes. France, Germany in modern time, but also Germany in the olden days, where liberals thought they could maintain control of politics in the country by leaning into and conceding to some of the demands of a former painter, World War I veteran by the name of Adolf Hitler, because the alternative was far scarier. Communism. The media covered it maybe to 1/10 with the intensity that they covered Zach Polanski's anti-Zionism. While this was literally happening, they straight up briefly mentioned this and spent virtually every single day talking about how Zach Polanski was doing Jew hatred, how he was an anti-Semite, and how he was allowing anti-Semitism to manifest in the UK. An identical situation to Jeremy Corbyn. Oh my God. Bro. Brother. What the hell? What's the British version of Mar-a-Lago face? There are Laura Loomers all around for those with eyes to see. Is it number 10 face? Is that what it would be? 6 face? Fucking hell. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. One hand, that's the type of timing that reform is on. On the other hand, you have Rupert Lowe's Restore Britain, which is for the people who think that party that we're looking at is not racist enough. So yes, there are not one, not two, but 3 different right-wing racist parties in the UK. Okay. And we haven't even gotten to the most racist one, which is Restore. This is Reform. Why'd you say 4? Which one? Oh, 4 if you count Labor. Got it. Okay. True. I mean, fuck it. Throw Lib Dems in there too if you want. Jesus Christ. Restore Britain is literally MAGA law. No, I know. What's really interesting about it is that Reform was built off of the failures of Brexit, and it was UKIP, right? Nigel Farage, I've jokingly referred to him as a cockroach, but he is the guy that will never die. He will survive the nuclear holocaust, okay? This man quite literally almost died a couple decades ago when he got on a fucking prop plane. His plane crashed and he survived it, okay? His career should have died when he did Brexit. No, did not happen. He keeps surviving these incidents over and over again. Yes, UKIP, Brexit Party, Reform. He won't. No, he won't. He's not the tank that Donald is. He's gross. He's not making it. I think you guys don't understand how bad the situation is in your own country. Bro, Reform is now the fastest, straightforwardly an outsider, Elon Musk, that just like designed an alternative to even Reform. And it's being pumped entirely by Elon Musk. That's the reason why you're seeing the likes of Asmongold, who are, you know, functionally illiterate, reading like the Restore Britain, Rupert Lowe rape, like British rape gangs report that they came out with. Like, there is a concerted effort by Elon Musk to pump this fucking party. And what's crazy is it's working, because reactionary propaganda targets the dumbest people in society. Okay? Right-wing propaganda targets the dumbest motherfuckers in society. And those dumb motherfuckers are always going to have more appetite for further and further reactionary sentiment. the more right wing you go, the more those dumb motherfuckers are going to be on board with it. Elon Musk, in some ways, has cracked the code. Not only does he foment race riots with regular frequency in Europe over and over again with no prosecution because he's the richest man on earth. He's a trillionaire now. But he is actively involving himself with European elections in a way that is foreign intervention. And it's not even indirect. It's not even like, it's not even sophisticated. It's not opaque. It's very in your face. He will go to an AFD conference, for example, and straight up sit there and talk about how, you know, the real Nazis were the socialists, or, you know, engage in subtle or maybe not so subtle Holocaust denial. So, like, he's already moved beyond fucking up the American government to bigger and better things, or maybe smaller and not better things, smaller and worse things, fucking up the European continent. Things are not looking good. Things are not looking good for anybody in this country. Things are not looking good for anybody in this planet. What is the actual route to hold Elon Musk accountable? No one. Twitch would permanently ban you if you said something like this. It would be a huge deal all over social media. Asimov responds to a terrorist attack. This isn't even remotely bad. Who gives a fuck? Says he doesn't feel that it's happening to Muslims.
It's hard to say. There's too many of them. And other bullshit rape gang on their, that his bullshit rape gang report falsely claiming Muslims raped 250,000 white girls same week. Elon Musk, is anyone surprised? They're inciting violence against Muslims and emboldening extremists. If you think this is bad, this is nothing. This is nothing. This is not even remotely bad. Oh my God. And another Hassan. Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy for me to see
another Hassan. Interesting.
Of this stuff, right? And let me see what the other ones here. Hassan, bigger apologist. Exactly. And he'll always, this is what he'll do, is he'll always try to he will immediately, this is a person who has immediately come to a conclusion. You've created an entire narrative, and you've done all of this in the span of 3 hours since this event happened. And now everybody else has to listen to this narrative. Who gives a
What do you mean this narrative? He's literally saying, as he's being arrested, that he actively sought out Muslims to stab because he's protecting the country from these fucking Muslim bastards raping our young daughters. It's literally in the video. It doesn't take much for someone to arrive at the conclusion that this was an Islamophobic hate crime. It doesn't take all that much to come to the conclusion that this was an Islamophobic hate crime born out of Rupert Lowe, Asmongold, Elon Musk, and numerous other far-right forces, possibly getting paid by Elon Musk, by the way, to foment this kind of racialized conspiracy theory.
Fuck, who cares? I don't want to hear about this. This person defends every created an entire narrative, and you've done all of this in the span of
Why has he not been banned by Twitch yet? Because Twitch is terrified of actually offering consequences to anyone that is right-wing. Okay? That's it. They're absolutely and utterly fucking terrified. It's that simple. There is no dedicated mass, mass banning incident. Like there are no forces in the same way that like right-wing Discord servers, including Asmongold server, will sit around and wait for an opportune moment, like a clip that looks weird or a clip that they can clip out of context to immediately mass spam reports. We don't do that. We don't do that at all. And that's part of the reason why that, these guys get away with whatever the fuck they want. They also run a fairly tight ship. Like, I'm willing to bet this kind of stuff doesn't get boosted on LSF. Whenever a clip like this is out there, okay, it gets deboosted. It gets deboosted. Here he is endorsing an Islamophobic hate crime that took place one day after he was reading the Rupert Lowe rape report that falsely claimed that all Muslims are doing mass rapes against white women, right? Rarely do you ever see this kind of clip make its way to live stream fails or numerous other subreddits where people can upvote it and complain about how disgusting or how odious this conversation is, how odious this and toxic this person is, and their worldview being repulsive. Okay. Twitter is already dominated by the far right. So when this kind of stuff goes viral on Twitter, people actually celebrate it. They cherish it. They think it's awesome. And Twitch is terrified of taking any action against someone who is actively championing hate crimes taking place.
3 hours since this event happened, and now everybody else has to listen to this narrative. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? I don't want to hear about this. This person defends every terrorist in the world, and now he wants us to be worried about something bad happening to people like him. That's it. Apologists. It's hard to say.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. The irony, of course, is if he receives any scrutiny on this, his audience will then turn around and claim falsely that I say this exact same kind of thing about Jewish people, and then they will do a counter messaging campaign to make it seem like I am actively demanding hate crimes happen to Jewish people or whatever. So just wait. I know exactly how this song is sung. I know exactly how this song and dance goes. Only right-wingers get to have quote-unquote free speech. No one else. Bro, giving them tutorials? No, it's just, I'm pre-watching it. Okay? What he's saying, what he's calling something bad happening to people like him is a fucking Islamophobic hate crime, dude. People being stabbed in a mass stabbing incident. These are innocent people. The fuck is wrong with you? It's totally unacceptable. It's unacceptable when it happens to anyone. Anyway, yeah. Piker Broadcasting Service for tomorrow's smear campaign today.
Right, there's too many of them. And other bullshit rape gang on their, that his bullshit rape gang report falsely claiming Muslims raped 250,000 white girls.
Bro, this isn't even a dog whistle. This is a full-blown endorsement. It's a bullhorn. He's just straight up saying like, yeah, whatever. Am I supposed to care about something bad happening to Muslims and people like you? Implying, he's saying like, Mehdi Hassan, this happened to your people. I don't feel bad. I mean, that's it. What else can I fucking say about this? I mean, it's gross. It's disgusting. It's unbelievably racist. And guess what? Most likely nothing will fucking happen. Asmongold will not receive a punishment for this. If he does, Elon Musk will tweet about it and will complain about it and will say that like free speech is being suppressed. Our brave warrior Asmongold was banned for saying the truth about, Pakistani rape gangs or whatever. And it'll be a whole fucking chaotic media cycle. The right-wing forces will defend him. I don't know. I don't know what to fucking say. I feel like this is where it would have been helpful to have some kind of broad base of support and solidarity amongst creators to demand Twitch take action. I know a lot of creators don't care, but I feel like enough do. No, they don't. They're terrified. Asmongold runs a mass harassment shop against literally content creators with like 30 concurrent viewers. He will go after anyone and everyone. I mean, he goes after me all the time too, but I have a large enough audience that I can withstand it. I don't give a shit. Whereas he will go after like random trans content creators from Twitter that have like 30 concurrent viewers on Twitch over and over again and try to like, mass mobilize his community to engage in mass harassment. Yeah. He takes advantage of the Epstein harassment shop as well. Oftentimes their targets are aligned, random left figures, people like myself. So they join forces and do this kind of targeted smear campaigns and targeted harassment campaigns. And it feeds into this never-ending cycle of reactionary commentary on YouTube. And a lot of the slop tubers don't even care about it either. They don't have any sort of like real political opinion. They're just like totally fine with right-wing commentary or believe in right-wing commentary regardless. And that's how you maintain an outsized, right-wing slanted media sphere that has actually a very diverse audience an audience with a diversity of opinion, but it's not really reflected because all of the top left content creators are ritualistically humiliated on the timeline by virtually every apolitical to far right figure on the internet. And most of these websites, especially Twitter, which a lot of these kinds of smear campaigns aggregate from, are so boosted to the far right in their algorithm that it ends up having this exact same toxic attitude reinforced in all the other platforms that rely on these smear campaigns that are being boosted on Twitter. It doesn't just stay on Twitter. It makes its way to Reddit. It makes its way to TikTok. That's how it works. Anyway, let's get back to John Oliver talking about Restore Britain.
Leader Rupert Lowe giving you just a taste.
Bro, come on now. Prague Bobo, bro, come on now. 3 lines on a shirt. George Rimet still beaming. 40 years ahead. Never stop me dreaming. It's coming home, lads. It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming. Yeah. Topo Resniviro is, I believe, an Indonesian man who LARPs as though he is Japanese and a samurai. Yeah. Of course, as an Indonesian man on the Reform platform, his advocacy revolves around getting himself expelled from the boundary of the nation state, alongside his entire family and many others like him, because that's the Reform platform. It's incredible. Like, it's real Black Klansman territory. Well, it's so funny that so many of these like supposed nationalists are literally backed by foreign interests. I find that really funny. I find that really strange. I don't know the I don't know the intricacies of the history of fascist movements. But I always wonder, like, what's the equivalence here, right? Like Nazi Germany. I guess there was an allegiance with fascist Italy, right? But like, and also Japan. But I wonder, like, was there ever a movement that was so singularly focused on American fascism or another country's fascism, right? Because these guys were all doing their own thing, but they were aligned with one another, right? I guess Henry Ford is the version of this. Henry Ford would be the closest similarity with where he wanted to do. He basically wanted to do in America what Hitler was doing. But it is very interesting that the international fascist movement right now, and it is an international one, contrary to popular opinion, contrary to what you would think, this movement is almost entirely directed by the American MAGA movement. And it manifests some of the funniest things that you've ever dreamt of all around the world. It manifests itself in South Korean right-wingers wearing MAGA hats, or just MAGA hats and Trump merch all around the world. And I find that to be ironic because it's antithetical to nationalism. It's antithetical to nationalism. You want sovereignty. You want, dignity. You want to restore dignity. You want to restore sovereignty for your nation state. There's supposed to be this underpinning ideology that's guiding your movement that is born out of just the nation state alone. Meanwhile, these guys have all offloaded all of that to the MAGA movement. They're all on the mercy of whatever Donald Trump is saying and doing. They have their own versions and variants as far as like local grievances goes. The American MAGA movement isn't so anti-Pakistani, for example, as opposed to the British one is. But outside of that, the overall ideological goals are not dissimilar, purge the nation's boundary of the subhumans, the underclass, the people that are not like white, and also all hail Donald Trump. Donald Trump can dominate our country. And we've also seen this bear itself out in the data. You look at Canada, and the more right-wing Canadians during Donald Trump's agitation towards annexing militarily the Canadian nation, the more left-wing you got in Canadian politics, the more likely it was that you would fight back against this annexation. The more right-wing you got in Canadian politics, in your, in your ideology and like which party you would vote for, the more open-minded you were to a Trumpian annexation of your country. In Korea, it's the Donald Trump Save Me meme as a political movement. Yeah, look. Today on Korea's Independence Day, South Korea's MAGA-obsessed far-right patriots could have stopped waving U.S. flags in the middle of the anti-colonial Remembrance Day. They believe Trump is their savior and cry out, "Make Korea great again." So strange. The more supposedly nationalist people become all around the world, the more likely they are to demand American domination.
In fact, there's no place like home.
Yeah. Objectively probably made it better. That's how fucking nasty that shit is. He hesitated. You are American. You eat cheese that is one polymer away from plastic. Shut up, you face about British food. Really? Come on. I mean, I shit on America quite a bit. That's crazy. You are not going to find a single, Chatter is right. You guys are straight up fucking coping, dude. American food as opposed to British food? Really? That's the comparison we're making? That's insane. That's actually insane. It's not even a fucking question. As someone who regularly shits on everything worthy to be shitted on and farted on in the United States of America, this is the one area where I wouldn't bring it up. You should just stick to, at least our schools are not a shooting gallery. You know? You got that on us, okay? Britland, you got that shit on us all day, every day, okay? But the idea that like British food and American food are on the same planet and the same playing field is so ridiculous. Your mama one polymer away from being plastic. Yeah. Jelly fucking eels, lad. Mushy peas wet. Mushy fucking peas wet. Count Binface?
The country's sick of stubborn. He's only in year 2. You voted him in with a crazy landslide. But he didn't know what to do. Now there's fun of blow in West Street. They got it lost your palace cool. They might be better than Barrage, but so's anything. Now you know what to do. So am I voting for Binface. I'm standing for the people that make a feel. Voting for Binface. Treat you to a bad piece yet on me. You got Nigel's crypto millions, and the Tories got no chance. And as for the Greens, they're really something. If you wanna hypnotize your boo,
Okay, chill.
boy, you got a friend in Binface.
Yeah, Count Binface is their vermin supreme. Every country needs to have this, by the way. I actually do endorse Count Binface 100%. I missed your coverage of the Makerfield election. How can I watch? I didn't cover it. This is it. Unless you mean like this, and it was a shout out to subscribe. You can subscribe and rewind. I just got done covering it, basically. Smack bomb, P-Wet, Baby's Yed. Wigan kebab. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, am I crazy or does bin face kind of sound not British? Wigan kebab is a British pie inside of a sandwich. I am not joking. God, I fucking love it. British people sing in American? Wait a minute. That's not true. Do British people sing in American? No, they don't. That's not true. Okay, give me an example. Oh my God. Are we onto something? Is this real? They kind of do. Wait, Adele is British. Oh my God. Wait a minute. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my, wait, Dua Lipa? Dua Lipa is British Albanian. Why? Why? I never even thought about this. It's not a British thing. Singing doesn't carry the accent in any language. It's very common for British artists to sing with an American accent. I just never realized. I never realized that British people just straight up sing in an American accent. What the fuck? What does this mean? Even Ozzy Osbourne. That's true.
Times have changed and times are strange.
Wait, what the fuck? Except for like Central C. Oh my God. Central C. He's carrying the torch. The Beatles, Eric Clapton, every British artist. That's okay. To be fair, I think the reason why I didn't know that is because the only British song I know is "It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home, it's coming home." It's the most British thing of all time to just like do a fucking song about how much you suck dick and balls. How much your team sucks dick and balls. It's so funny. It's like, no, everybody dunks on us. Everybody clowns on us. We used to be great. We're supposed to be great. It's so awesome. It's Uncle Sam Cedar. Yeah, this is so, well, this is English, lads. It's not just, it's English, lads. It's English. It's not proper British, it's English. It's not the United Kingdom. The kingdom is not so fucking united, is it? We're just talking about England, lads. At the sport you invented, same with rugby. Invent the sport but can't fucking play it. The people need bowl cut obby. All right, well, we're at level 1 hype train. This is the part of the day where I tell you at the Piker Broadcasting Service, if you want to carry the fucking flame, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for £6, yeah? You can subscribe and support and get your broadcasting license, yeah? A subscription is like a television license for £6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. You can subscribe. Or you can gift subscriptions to others so they can enjoy the fun. The Piker Broadcasting Service, the People's Broadcasting Service, is sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people. And if you subscribe, I won't ask you, do you have a license for that? Do you have a license for that? Be a proper lad and subscribe. PBC instead of PBS for the British lads? Yes. People's Broadcasting Channel. If you subscribe, you can also rewind on the broadcast. We're at level 5 hype train already. Oh my, how dastardly. Level 5 hype train, which means we're only 5 levels to go. And if we reach level 10, perhaps I'll play a different, unique variant of Charlie Kirk. This is the guy from the greatest sports image ever. What is this? If you know, you know. Sometimes it's hard saying no to have a picture. Look up Lord Buckethead. All right, we're still at level 5 hype train. Will we be able to... All right, let's hear this. For the sake of women's safety, we need England to keep winning.
England won the football last night, and thank goodness they did. Because on the occasions that England lose their football matches, the incidences of domestic violence go through the roof. So, boys, keep winning.
That's crazy. That is a crazy way to support the team. That's crazy. Come on, lads. Carry the fucking flame. Carry the fucking flame. To Dalef. Thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Storm Warden, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. We're almost at level. Oh, shit. Aqua Teen Hamas Force Episode 1. Radical Islamist Hassan Freiker. Hassan's 5 favorite songs, no order. AI Weird Charlie Kirk is coming home. Red Sun in the Sky. Chulima on the Wing. Mufasa is Friday then. That's right. Those are my 5 favorite songs on the telly. Phoenix Emoji. Thank you for the 20 gifted subs, lad. Bosh. We're at level 6. I've traded it. Wait, there's a UK drill. We are Charlie Kirk. Okay, maybe I'll play that. Maybe. It's hyperpop. Maybe. It's coming home. Football's coming home, lads. Kaya Callis says, Dear Gideon, as you know, the EU and Israel have a lot that bind us. I value our dialogue and engagement, and I'm open to continue in that spirit respectfully and constructively. Dialogue is the foundation of diplomacy, especially when differences arise. The EU is always committed to a constructive relationship with Israel to bring peace to the Middle East. The two-state solution remains the only viable path. The EU has condemned the illegal Israeli settlements in the West Bank that make it increasingly difficult to get that goal. That is the EU position. Do you think she's actually thought about what it is that binds the EU and Israel, or is it just a rote prompt and response sort of thing? So what was the private thing that Kaya Callis said? Because apparently she was being kind of mean about our big, beautiful, emotional support apartheid state. She said Israel's an apartheid state. Oh, dastardly. Dastardly. What a Nazi she is. What a fucking Nazi she is.
Israel's foreign minister has cut ties with the EU's chief diplomat because she compared Israel to the racist apartheid regime that existed in South Africa. Kaya Callas is said to have made the comments during closed-door meetings with Mexican government officials.
Yeah, so she was correct. And Israel was like, we don't like your correct statement. Is that what it is? She said there's apartheid in Israel, and right at that moment, they started to talk about erasing her position from the EU. Wow. I mean, it's kind of funny because Kaya Callas is kind of a Nazi, but like the liberal version, you know what I mean? Like the NATO Atlanticism that is probably the closest equivalent to like a domineering expansionist movement, because it's like America's entire force projection capabilities. And therefore, of course, like she's that kind of fascist, right? However, I guess even a fascist can be correct in this moment when an even larger fascist force comes into play. We're at level 6 hype train with a minute remaining. With a minute fucking remaining, lads. Level 6 hype train. Lads, at 86%. Level 6 hype train. We're only 4 levels out. About to be 3 levels out from fucking carrying the flame. Thoughts on the Turkish national team's exit? I have no thoughts on it. It's terrible. No, the EU disbanding or revising its foreign service happened before the Israel thing. Chatter is stupid. If anything, she's trying to gain favor from member states by shitting on Israel. X Arthur, Gizmo, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Small Tanks, thank you for the 10 gifted. Tech Slug, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Anklefoot, thank you for the 5 gifted as well. All right, we made it. Level 7 hype train, 26%. Step up 69. Fucking hell. Coma Crest. Fucking hell. Mob Pixel. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
While on a trip to Mexico in May.
Freedom
She's
Monks.
reported to have described how a
Big
visit to the
clitoris
Apartheid
energy.
Museum in Johannesburg moved her. Gideon Saar accuses Callas of acting obsessively and with blatant unfairness.
The most nationalist Turk doesn't have thoughts. You're kidding. 60 shots, 0 goals. I mean, I have no thoughts other than shame. A deep sense of shame. Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Thank you for the 25 gifted subs. Ominous Block of Concrete. Thank you for the 5 gifted. And Sudan Press 2710. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Lana Christian de Salon. What? Lana Christe de Salon. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Cheesy. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Level 7 Hot Train achieved. We're so close. The Triggeriv. Thank you for the 10. Midwestern Mom Fedayeen. Thank you for the 5. Melodious. Thank you for the 5. Aspat Anane. Thank you for the 5. Real Dr. Jihad. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Level 8 Hype Train. 4 minutes remaining. 32%. Practicing for a BBC documentary? Yes. This Hype Train used to be a ghost town. It was. Why the accent? Because it's coming home. Football's coming home, lads. That's right. Third Eye Portal. Efforts 94. Thank you for the 5.
Towards the state of Israel. He said he would sever all contact with Callas until she retracts the comments, which he described as blood libel. When Callas responded to Saar's post on X, she didn't confirm.
These guys have one speed. It's always blood libel. Greek Canadian. Yeah. Everyone's rancor. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually British. That's right. I'm fucking British, lads. They banned me from my own country. Shabana Mahmood. How dare you? In my heart, in my soul, I'm a proper Brexit geezer. Science is a candle in the dark. Thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Fisco Biddle. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Everyone's rancor. Thank you. Little B Stan. Thank you. Solidarity with Gaza.
Or deny comparing Israel's treatment of Palestinians to
We're
the
at
treatment
level
of black
9
people
Hype
by
Train.
the apartheid regime in South Africa.
Level 9 Hype Train. 20%. This is my real voice. I've been lying to you this entire time, as British people are known to do. As you know, British people are quite convincing when it comes to doing a proper American accent. That's right. This entire time I was talking like this, it was fake. This is not my real voice. This is my real voice. I'm one of the many British people that's stealing American jobs, yeah. On US soil, in it. That's right. One Winged Valkyrie. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Your accent is going on a tour from the Midlands to London? Yes, I've been all around. I've been all around the United Kingdom, yeah. Why do you think I can do such a convincing Eve Fatlaw? Eve fucking Fatlaw? You sound exactly like Joey Knight. Check him out. Aspenatine. Yes, I was doing British Takia this entire time. As a sleeper cell for Steve Hilton, who I've clearly voted for illegally numerous times. That's right. Before you know it, Steve Hilton will be your and my governor, the new governor. And before you know it, California will be a part of the Commonwealth. This is Henry Pinkerton. Signing off. Need to see a Scouse accent? It's the hardest one. I'm not a Tory. I'm a Scouser lad. From fucking Liverpool. Joey Knight. Let's take a look.
And working your way up to that title with Dean? Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. I just, look, of course, I'd love to fight Dean the Great. I don't think I'd get that fight next. I think it'd take a few fights for me to get there. But I'm happy to take on all comers, man. Like I said to Mams at the start, that obviously I'd fight anyone.
I don't think I sound like this man. I don't know why you think I do. Trix Mom, thank you for the 25 gifted subs. That's right. We're so near. Petty Peck, Justin, just ignore me. Thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Level 85. 85%. At level 9 hype
The UK
train.
is incredibly diverse in terms of accents, and it just so happens that I can do many of these accents as my party trick. So come with me as I take you on a guided tour through all of the accents and archetypes of Great Britain.
Someone said, how can an island have so many different 96%, 97%, 99%? And just like that, we're off to the... And just like that, lads, we're off to the races. We are Charlie Kirk, UK drill cover. We're off to the fucking races, lads. We carried a flame once again. We carried a fucking flame once again. Oh my god, this is terrible. This is ass, bro. Okay, veto. Sorry, we were going on with the British. Beautiful, because Charlie definitely would not appreciate this. This is the most transgender genre of music, and honoring Charlie Kirk with, hyper pop is certainly something he would not appreciate at all. This is so much worse than any other version of this thing. Okay. Charlie Kirk CX. This is what you hear when you pop a molly at the Turning Point USA rave. Okay, ball for a dude who doesn't like music. Oh, come on. I know hyperpop. Also, I knew about the Coupe as well. Like, I literally used to play it way back in the day. A lot of you guys were like, oh, Boots Riley, like, play his music. You don't know about Boots Riley's music. It's like, no, I do actually. I do. Don't put that shit on trans people. Wait, what? Don't put that shit on trans people as in hyperpop? I don't have to put that shit on trans people. Trans people put that shit on when they get the aux cord. What do you mean? The Coupe. Brad Lander is playing both sides. What is this?
Millionaires.
Lander playing every side, doing videos with Valdez and Reynoso, hugging Daria Lisa, but insisting he's not endorsing her. Lol. Oh my god. I do not listen to hyperpop as a trans woman. Do not put that shit on me. Okay, it's fine. Okay, it's okay. You can lie to yourself. You can lie to your friends. You can lie to people around you. It's all good. You don't bop your head at it a little bit. It's not even just about being trans. It's like, even if you're an ally to trans people, hyperpop does something where you're like, okay, I dig this. Okay. It's just what it is. It's just like hits a different frequency. Anyway, let's get back to the one-time Kaja Kallas. Kaja Kallas was actually correct.
We asked her about it at the EU Leaders Summit in Brussels.
You have tens, if not hundreds, of statements on Israel and Gaza by me, so on the record, and you see what I've been saying. I've been representing European Union, and it's true that we don't see always eye to eye with the Israelis. For example, regarding the violent settlers and the expansion of settlements on the West Bank, we have been very critical. I've had very good, open and frank, and sometimes very difficult discussions with the Minister Saar. I will comment on anything what was made, said or not said behind the closed doors.
The choice of words goes too far for Israel's allies.
Oh, wow. Shocked to find out that ball licker Frederick Merz was disavowing the one correct statement that Kaja Kallas has ever fucking made. Kaja Kallas has ever made. Wow.
Wirklich nicht.
Merz, leg Eier.
But it's worth pointing out that South Africa's official position is that Israel is responsible for apartheid against the Palestinians. And investigations by some global human rights organizations have reached the same conclusion.
So has the United Nations, and so has the International Court of Justice. Virtually every European institution has already openly admitted, openly recognized that Israel is an apartheid. It doesn't matter. It's just the truth.
The diplomatic clash between Kallas and Saar comes as EU leaders meeting in Brussels are still divided over whether to impose more sanctions on Israel. Ahead of the meeting, Kallas said the EU was exploring options, including banning imports from Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank.
5 men in their 20s and 30s attacked in Edinburgh. 3 were taken to hospital, but thankfully none have serious injuries. Well, we know that this all...
Yeah, this is the Islamophobic hate crime terror attack that took place that Asmongold was endorsing and promoting, and I guess begging for it to happen more and more.
Unfolded last night at about 10 to 9 in the Sighthill area of Edinburgh. 2 men were injured and taken to hospital. And in the next 40 minutes, 3 more men were attacked near retailers in the west and north of Edinburgh. And it was 9:30 p.m. when the suspect was finally detained. These locations where the attacks took place were quite a distance from each other. We're talking miles, so not necessarily a distance that would be easy to walk. Well, Police Scotland have said that a 36-year-old white Scottish man has been arrested and he remains in custody. There is no further threat to the public, police say, that counter-terrorism policing Scotland are investigating. Well, I can read you a statement now from the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, who wrote on the social media network X. I'm horrified by news of the attack in Edinburgh. She says, I'm grateful to the police and emergency services for their bravery in apprehending the suspect and for their speedy response in attending to the victims. The suspect appears to be motivated by anti-Muslim hatred. There is no place for hatred and violence against Muslims. I know it is not who we are as a country.
Really? Y'all literally had anti-immigrant pogroms. Like, and there was another version of that happened in the north of Ireland as well. So that only happened like last week. Kind of feels like this is exactly who you guys are. Y'all are too busy rounding up pensioners who dare betray the British government and its unlimited loyalty to the nation state of Israel. So, you know, you're too busy focusing on the important stuff. So you probably missed it. But, you know, this shit's happening literally all around the UK.
Well, we are awaiting further details from Police Scotland, but an incredibly concerning incident for the local community. And as I mentioned, this man remains in custody.
Phoebe Southworth with the latest on that. Phoebe, thank you. Now, just days after signing a framework for peace, Iran's leaders claim to have closed the Strait of...
Yes, I know that there were larger anti-racism rallies that immediately took place afterwards. I'm just saying that the government's position is really... It rings hollow when they say, oh, this is not who we are, when their focus is absolutely not in this direction at all. The Labour government is also fomenting anti-migrant conspiracies. They're also taking an anti-immigrant stance, an anti-immigrant position.
Hormuz again. Actually, let me just bring you some breaking news right now coming on that story we were just talking about, and that is the attacks in Edinburgh. We've had a statement on it on X from the Prime Minister. This is what he says. Absolutely appalling. No one should face violence on our streets. The suspects appear to be motivated by anti-Muslim hatred. I will not tolerate this, and he will face the full force of the law. Keir Starmer goes on to say, my thoughts are with those who are injured, and I thank the police and the emergency services for their response.
Keir Starmer's premiership has been ailing for some time, and how much longer he'll be spending at number 10 Downing Street is never more in question as now, and that's off of the back of Andy Burnham's strong by-election win in Makerfield. He outperformed pollsters, getting over 54% of the vote, leaving the nearest rival, the Reform candidate.
I think the Reform Party is probably the best option for the UK. Yes, I too am a fucking idiot, dude. I agree. Yes, all of the problems that you're experiencing are not because of... I was joking. Oh, God. Well, great. Also, short sleeve jacket is nasty work. I don't even know what's going on here.
Trailing behind at 34%.
Short sleeve suit is wild.
The vote.
Shit looks like she just ripped them off. You know, those are rip-offs.
Now, Keir Starmer in the past has described Labour's...
Yeah, reformers cheeks, mate. Restores the way to fucking go. Reformers cheeks. Restores the way to be a proper lad. Yeah, we're going to ban Sharia law. We're going to ban kosher and halal meat. Fucking hell. It's going to ruin our fucking lamb industry, innit? But it's so good. The farmers are going to fucking hate it. Yeah, Shakira law is not what we want. Bring back only white migrants in it, but not the fucking Poles. That's why we did Brexit. Voting reform to fix the problems like fixing a paper cup by jumping into traffic. Yeah.
Mission to try and see off the threat of reform, the right-wing party headed up by Nigel Farage, as the fight of our times, the fight of our lives. But as the last month's local election...
The sheep will go to a new industry. Yeah, the shagging industry. What you fucking think we're going to do with the sheep? We're not going to eat them. We're going to shag them, mate. That's why we're banning cousin marriages too, yeah? More sheep to fucking shag. What you mean? Restore, lads. Fucking hell. Let's go.
Results showed Starmer...
Yeah. Sometimes I shag them. Sometimes I shear them. Right? And the sheep love it both.
Perhaps not the person who can do that, but Burnham will be returning to the House of Commons, being able to say, I was. Camille Nedelec, Al Jazeera, London.
Oh my goodness, a man with a bin on his head. And it's not the Tory candidate. Looks like something out of Star Wars. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I better.
To talk to him,
no,
John.
I'm going to hand you back to. I'm going to. Oh, right, okay.
Do you want to talk to me?
Yeah, go on then.
Go on then.
Right,
Back to the nation.
Who are you?
My name. What kind of journalist is this? You don't know? Have a look.
I've got my list here.
Burnham.
No, I realise that. Oh, you're Count Binface, yeah?
There you go. You did go to journalism school. Excellent. Yes,
a long time ago.
I beg your pardon?
I said a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, well, I wouldn't have known.
Why are you standing in this election? Just a stunt?
It's A, because it's happening. B, I was at a loose end. C, because I believe elected mayors should serve out their terms before they're eligible to stand for Parliament.
Oh, you've made a sensible serious political point there.
Well, no, you're supposed to be impartial, mate. So let me carry on.
It's so fucking stupid. What do you say to this, man? You're supposed to be impartial, mate. Fucking hell.
I'm going to rephrase the traffic lights on Liverpool Road. I'll price cap Wigan kebabs at £2. I'll make cyclists who disobey the highway code have to ride unicycles instead. And I will turn HS2 into FFS1 and reroute it.
Not going to swear, are you?
No. I'm perfectly... Although we are past the watershed, but don't worry.
No. We don't want you swearing, please.
I promise I won't. I'm a good boy. And no, but I'm going to reroute it through rail executives' homes.
Wow, Zoran's impact. I'm going to make kebab £2. We're going to make kebab £2, yeah?
To build at least one...
Literally directly a Zoran policy.
House. I mean, I could go on. What's Andy said he's going to do?
Oh, he said lots he's going to do, and he changes his mind from time to time. But anyway, are you going to save your deposit? Probably not.
No, in a word. But if I could beat the Tories or the Lib Dems, that would be quite funny.
Yeah, I suppose they wouldn't find it very funny, though, would they? How many votes do you think you're going to get?
Well, I'd be happy with one.
Do you live in the constituency?
I do tonight.
Well, it sounds as though you don't.
What, do you?
No, of course not. I don't live here, no.
So why should I?
He said, of course not.
Well, a lot of candidates like to boast that they're local. You're obviously not too concerned about that.
Well, I'm looking at the putative Prime Minister Nigel Farage. He spends more time in America than in Clacton. So why should...
You don't think Mr. Burnham's the putative Prime Minister, then?
Well, they both putatas, that they will be the next PM. But I think at least Andy feels like he's slightly local to the area. But that's something. If I was to win...
He used to be the MP for Leeds, just not very far from here.
Exactly. If I win, I swear...
That's not going to happen.
Well, exactly. So I'm going to say, I swear I'll move to Makerfield if I win.
Okay, all right. I'm sure they'll all be delighted. Well, I'm sure there's other people who want to interview you. Thank you for talking to Sky News.
It's my pleasure. Well interviewed. Well done.
England isn't real? What do you mean? This happens in America too. Lord Binhead is, or Count Binface. There's also a Lord Buckethead, right? If I'm not mistaken. But like, we have Vermin Supreme here in America. Like, it's fine. This is a normal quirk.
Well, Anna, I think I got the short straw there.
Got a crowd of people watching that. I mean, people were filming you interviewing Count Binface, and I'm afraid for me, you've lost your by-election king crown because you didn't know who he was, and everybody knows who Count Binface is. Let's be honest about it. But anyway, he's still there. He won't leave you now. Of course, I don't live in the area. Was the mantle? Go on, John.
Guy said Zoran policies implemented 0. Dude's in a coma. The only one that hasn't been implemented at this point is fast and free buses. That's it. Like, virtually every other policy has been implemented or has initiated the implementation of it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't normally interview those sort of candidates, but I think you.
All right.
Well, we're going to move to this because...
Same guy, Buckethead, had to change the bin face to the copyright? Wait, really? Democratic Socialists under fire for plan to abolish prisons. Oh my God. Here we go. Here we fucking go, dude. I don't even want to watch this shit. The Five talked about socialism.
Hi, welcome back, Bernie.
It's literally just a socialism power hour for these fools, huh? That's just my favorite. It's my favorite seeing Republican news media. Republican news media being like, this is what's best for the Democratic Party. Let me tell you, a guy who absolutely fucking despises everything that the Democrats stand for. Let me tell you what's best. When's Fox News going to invite you? I don't know. Because Sean Hannity brought me up last night to Stephen Miller, and he's not responding to our emails any longer. We keep asking, like, when are we going to debate? And he's just stopped responding altogether.
Sanders and Zoran Mamdani are flexing the socialist muscle for some New York comrades. And by the way, they would not be insulted with that reference. The two progressive firebrands joining forces at a rally in Brooklyn, backing a slate of socialist House candidates in New York. But their ambitions stretch far beyond the Empire State. Sanders and Mamdani are openly pressuring Democrats to embrace their socialist vision. Watch.
What the mayor is doing here should be done all over this country. That is the message reverberating all across this country in small towns and large cities.
Now, people often ask me what I think of the state of the Democratic Party. This slate here today is our answer. The Democratic Party must change. We need a Democratic Party with backbone. A Democratic Party that offers an affirmative agenda without apology.
Kayleigh, after the last election in 2024, I thought we would see a Democratic Party that would move closer to the center overall, collectively, and have somebody with charisma, military background. That's what I thought you learned from it. But I am shocked, and maybe so were Democratic establishment, that the money and the enthusiasm is behind outright socialists, not kind of socialists. Socialists, embrace the label. What happened?
you know, Dana Perino says it all the time on the show, and she is 100% correct, that the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, are organized. And we are increasingly seeing that. There was a great Washington Post opinion piece today that walks through that. 200 chapters is what the DSA has, 100,000 members. And this piece takes you through the rise of Graham Plattner, how that was not something that just happened organically. It was organized by two operatives who knew about his scandals, who made sure those didn't come out. And then they come out right at the very end. But Janet Mills, the more establishment Democrat, was already out of the race at that point. So they're organized, they are planning, and there needs to be a deep reckoning within the Democratic Party. But here's the hard part. I know, Jessica, my friend over, you're not a socialist. You are more of the moderate wing of the party. But the party as a whole is representative of the socialist viewpoint. And you can look at this polling. Harry Enten put some of it together. MU Law, credible poll. What you see in that poll is Democrats, socialists have a net favorability within the Democratic Party of plus 17. Congressional Democrats plus 4. So that wing of the party is winning out. And that's not the only poll. You look at Gallup, where capitalism had a plus 1 favorability among
Your mocking voices aren't very class conscious. The poor populations whose voices you take on are not entirely inaccurate to the diluted mass, but those accents are shared by the grounded working class who align with your politics and be better used. My favorite thing is when I do British accents that are both objectively posh and also like numerous different British accents. And there is always a British guy that gets mad every single time. There's always a British guy that will get mad and be like, you're actually making fun of the working class. And it's really interesting because this is literally the exact same thing that people do when I do the hell yeah, brother, that's right, all this shit. Yep, yes, you do with Appalachian accents all the time. Yeah, I do all different sorts of accents. It's fun. I'm trying to have fun. Politics is dog shit, okay? It sucks. Politics is dog shit. It sucks. It's dark. It's not very fun. I'm trying to make it fun for myself and for the people that are tuning in, okay? That's it. Bro thought jokes would fly is not the type of politics that we do around these parts, okay? Calm the fuck down. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Joke police. Wee woo, wee woo. Alert the presses. Alert the police. Asmongold openly defends anti-Muslim terrorist attack in the UK where 5 men got stabbed. This is nothing. This is not even remotely bad. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? I don't want to hear about this now. Hassan wants to be worried about something bad happening to him.
This is why
he doubles down and explains why he doesn't care if Muslim people get stabbed in the UK. I have zero sympathy, and I don't give a fuck about some guy stabbing people because they let stuff like this happen.
I have zero sympathy, and I do not give a fuck about some guy stabbing people. It's because they let stuff like this happen on a day.
Who's they? Like, who is the they that's letting stuff like this happen? You know what I mean? And this is a what, like a random black guy in Portugal? How is this in any way, shape, or form connected to the Islamophobic hate crime that took place in was it Edinburgh?
Daily basis. They never police these people. They never hold these people accountable. And then they want us all to have empathy for 5 people that get stabbed. Meanwhile, this is happening on an industrial level all across Europe, and they refuse to even talk about it.
Who is they? Like, what do you mean crime? Are there people who are pro-crime? Is that what it is? Is there a big they out there that's like pro-crime where they're like, oh, we love crime. Let's have more of it, please.
Give an inch. Never give an inch.
Happening at an industrial level. To be clear, the terrorist already explained why he committed these attacks after he got arrested. I'm protecting my country from these fucking Muslim bastards raping our young daughters, is what he said. Yes. It's so clear what he's trying to do, man. It's always the same. It's fucking rich people that don't want you to recognize that Muslim immigrants are no different than you in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, you have a lot more similarities with these Muslim immigrants than you do with your landlord or your boss or faceless, lifeless, parasitic forces of capital. They don't care about you, okay? These guys are your neighbors. But as long as you hate your neighbors, instead of recognizing who actually controls the levers of power, you are the easiest to fucking dupe and manipulate. That's all this is. And Asmongold is a champion of this cause. Asmongold is the great divider. He does not want you to get mad at the wealthy. He wants you to get mad at others, okay? He wants you to get mad at other working class folk. That's it. He wants to make you feel like there are some of these like super woke forces out there who actually don't think that crime is a bad thing and should be solved in any meaningful fashion. He has no solution to it. As a matter of fact, he benefits from crime continuing, so he can always point to it and try to make it into racial agitprop. There's always this like other. You push him on it, he'll say, oh, you know, the liberal elites. Okay. Yeah. Problem is this kind of racist agitated propaganda is very effective because a lot of people want to abdicate responsibility away, and a lot of people also don't want to look at the current system, the current design of the system, and want to believe that actually there is like some kind of nefarious shadow elite that's like demographically replacing them and creating an existential crisis. The existential crisis is here. It's capitalism. Of course, this fucking multi-millionaire who owns multiple businesses, by the way, of course, he is a servant of forces that are even more wealthy and more powerful than he is. Yeah. I got banned for reading a manifesto, by the way, of a shooter in order to push back against the dangerous misinformation that was being spread on the internet, as I've done so over and over again. That's what I got banned off Twitch. That's what I got banned on Twitch for, among numerous other instances. Have you talked about the Kratom collusion? Yeah, I heard that Mark Wayne Mullen has like a Kratom connection or Kratom company or something. So there's like they're removing classifications off of Kratom, saying it's not dangerous. I don't know. Yeah, literal opiate. After voting so many times, after voting for so many Trump nominees, Senator Hickenlooper has been refusing to debate his primary opponent, State Senator Julie Gonzalez, who just confronted him asking for a debate. Watch Hickenlooper's campaign guy try to shoo her away and get in the way of the camera. Amazing.
Make it happen. Tell me the time, place, and conditions. Okay, I'm happy to debate. Senator. Hey, Julie Gonzalez, great to see you. Nice to see you. It'd be a joy to be able to debate with you. Just curious, what's going on?
Well, we've been so busy. We've done
doing what?
We have been all over the state. I've got to be in D.C. for about 50 hours a week, so that's gone on nonstop. But we'll get a chance.
When?
I don't know.
When?
Whenever we can find time.
You tell me the time, place, and conditions. Okay, I'm happy to debate.
We'd love to find a time.
When would that be? Let's figure it out now. Let's figure it out right now. You're the deputy campaign manager. Let's figure it out. My campaign manager is right here. Let's make time.
I see him. We can talk to him.
All right, Senator.
Thank you so much.
I've had your commitment. Let us debate.
Okay.
We've got 10 days to make it happen.
We'll work on it. Thank you, Senator.
Is that a yes?
I said I'd work on it. I can't. I don't control my schedule any more than you control your schedule. Schedules, every day.
Yeah, the best thing to say in this is, don't you feel like the people of Colorado deserve a debate so they can make the best possible choice? Don't you feel like it's your duty as the senator, as the incumbent senator, to do a debate for your own constituents, myself included?
Yeah, every 9 different ways. We can talk to you, Chief. We'll find a time. Thank you. We'll find a time. Thank you.
Let me know.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Is this a dude who canceled the Denver event? No. Senator Heckin' Poopy fucking got him. Respect. Any comments on Die Linke? Oh my God, I'm so excited. Thank you to the German left for finally recognizing that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. I know it takes a lot. Hopefully they can keep pushing, you know? I know internally, I'm sure there was a lot of pressure from a lot of the rank and filers who made it happen. And I know how difficult it is, but, you know, Jesus Christ. They haven't? I thought Die Linke recognized that Israel was committing a genocide in Gaza, like, recently. Did they not? They rebuked it? What is this? Asmongold
He
Chung
does
update?
look like...
What the fuck is this? They have yesterday? Why is there no news? I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to figure it out, but there's nothing on the internet over this. This is... Australian. A lot of folks seem to be impressed by Vance's criticism of Israel, but unless and until the administration shows is willing to impose actual consequences, it means about as much as Biden leaking that he's upset with Bibi for the 100th time. It's true. They said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism and we shouldn't talk about it. Stop. D. Linka called it a genocide yesterday. The left officially calls Israel's actions a genocide. The left stance on Israel is a sensitive issue. After heated debate, the delegates have now reached a consensus. The party officially describes Israel's actions in the Gaza war as a genocide. This is literally, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, fucking what is going on in Germany, man? What the fuck? In 2026. Sure, on the one hand, I want to celebrate this achievement of all the delegates that fought long and hard to make it happen, but also on the other hand, what the fuck? God damn, Germany, just so spiritually broken.
Damn, this guy's good.